Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Let's get ourselves ready for some more fantastic action. We've caught a little bit of Macau fever here in RaceRoom as we get ready for another RaceRoom ranked event. And of course, this time it is the Macau Grand Prix. Been so excited by it all the way through the morning, all the way through the action that we've seen over the weekend, the last weekend as well. It is such a fantastic and difficult circuit, and this is basically the only place in sim racing that you can give it a go. I'm Lewis McGlade. Of course, I won't be the only one in the commentary booth with you. I'm joined by Lil Wayne's younger brother, Lil Wan. Ewan O'Leary in the commentary booth with me. How's it going, buddy?
I don't know who that is, but I'm yes, I am. As you say, it's the best version you can find of Macau in sim racing. Very excited to be here, like this time of year for this circuit, because it's a fantastic one. It's sort of signed off the end of the season, or it certainly used to. Now F1 still has about 10 rounds to go, but anyway, this sort of rounds off the season from this side of things, and looking forward to it because Christmas is coming, of course, and then the new year with all the great events that will come on the other side of 2024 for us as well.
Let's take a look at the gear circuit where we are going racing. Of course, it's kind of sat with unbelievable straights with intense high speed, fantastic fun, extreme action, but of course a lot of tight and twisty corners around the back end. Just over 6 kilometers of racing, and that's what kind of keeps it wide open and exciting for us. We did see a little bit of the schedule there, so we can take a look at how things are going to proceed for the evening. I'm just really throwing things off for our broadcast director. It's fun. But of course, we've got the Formula RaceRoom 3s, what we're currently in, what we're going to see first, qualifying coming up for those, and then a 25-minute race before we take a little break, and then we'll go straight into the GT3 qualifications where we get 2 races, of which the second race is a top 10 reverse grid of the first race. All of that sounds pretty exciting to me, and especially when we get a couple of grids of fantastic drivers.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to work a little bit different to real life, of course, but that's a good thing. It sort of forces them to overtake one another. People do criticise this circuit sometimes for being difficult to overtake on, and that certainly is the case around some of the lap, or indeed quite a lot of it, in fact, but there are chances, and I think this car will provide those chances over the course of today. Long straights, big braking zones as well, and big challenge. Hopefully going to be some good racing as well as looking at the circuit, which of course we'll certainly enjoy, even if it's just in qualifying or whatever when they're out on their own.
Yeah, it is the older style of Formula 3 car, the one with the missile launcher strapped to the side. Of course, the air intake for the engine there to boost the brake horsepower up to the 240 that we currently run. Means there's no DRS, no gimmicks, no nothing. You want to do a move, you've got to do it yourself. This car is the one that I always feel is just synonymous with Formula racing around the Macau circuit, and that's the same with some of the drivers that we've got. I'm sure they relate in very much the same way. Fantastic group of drivers, the likes of Alessandro Botti, the likes of Balázs Nagy, Bence Farkas, Rokas to be, all drivers that have kind of struggled to set themselves for this circuit in the practice that we did take a quick look at before we went live. It shows that even with quality drivers like what we've got, it's a difficult circuit and it bites.
Yeah, it certainly does, and there's even a section on this racetrack where you're not allowed to overtake at all. So it just shows you how narrow and how challenging this circuit is. As I said just a moment ago, this circuit is even exciting to watch and interesting to just ride on board with someone as you're driving through here. It's such a challenge even on your own. Never mind when we're going to send them all out together here in a few moments' time. Getting towards 30 drivers getting ready for this race now. And so it's going to be a big challenge to just get everyone through, especially the opening braking zone down at turn 3, Lisboa. It's going to be very, very narrow down there. And a challenge for everybody. So looking forward to this, really. And this 25-minute race, which will be coming up first.
You can see the entries that we've got here, like I was saying, Bence Farkas, Balázs Nagy, Felix Bjorn in there as well. Rokas be some drivers that we do see quite a lot in ranked competition, whether it is in the RaceRoom Ranked Championship or whether it is in various ones of our ranked events. You've also got Alessandro Botti in there. The reason why I bring him up is he's the driver that is presently on top in the practice session, which is going on. We'll have a little bit of a look further down. We've got Evgeny Sonchik. Certainly a driver to keep an eye on, the Ukrainian superstar who we've seen fly up through various orders and such. Should be a lot of fun, although we are expecting larger splits when it comes to time around here, partially courtesy of it maybe being a slightly weaker grid, mostly of a lot of the drivers that are taking part in the GT3s as well. Later on, that's kind of taken some of the drivers out of the Formula 3s as a support series after all, and partly down to the fact of it's quite a long circuit that's really tough.
Yeah, it's very difficult around here. The best lap times at the moment are in the high 2-minute 11s. You sort of had to recalibrate your brain around here because not only is it a long circuit, it's, I'd say, very, very challenging as well. And I don't know, well, I guess everyone will have experienced this actually at Macau. It's not a very well-known circuit, realistically, and you can't drive it in many places in sim racing either. So part of the process of learning for this race and learning about the car and whatever, you've got to learn the track and where it goes. Obviously these drivers, maybe in practice for this event, maybe they will have already known, but certainly before I first started driving around here, I had to learn when there was a left going up, when there was a right, because you just don't know, and it's somewhat difficult to remember. Eventually you get there, but when you're thinking about circuits like that where you're actually trying to remember where to go as well as how to go quickly, that's when you really realise the kind of challenge that they have here this evening. But 10 minutes of qualifying, there's going to be some big gaps, as you say, because the fast drivers are going to fly through here, and those that don't know where to go are going to struggle.
Well, let's take a look then on board the circuit. We can see the whole thing on board here with Alessandro Botti, the driver who topped practice. It was about 2 minute 11.7 coming in his hands. We go through already up San Francisco Hill, really through like the fourth corner of the circuit towards Maternity Bend. You go through this left-hander where it really tightens up, and you've got to keep it over the left-hand side before you throw it through the Maternity Bend itself. 90-degree right-hander. Watch out for a big snap of oversteer. I don't think he clipped the wall as we head into Teddy Yip, and then this section. This is the part where I really start to struggle. Once you start going through this section where it goes left and then right again and then left, and it's all really, really narrow. There is such a thin line through it. I'd say it's even harder than somewhere like Monaco to hook this section up. It's so tight, it's so narrow, and it kind of just doesn't feel like there's the flow through there until you properly hook it up. Going through Police up towards Moorish Corner, one of the hardest on the circuit. That wall on the inside will catch a couple of drivers out as we now head up to Donna Maria. This tightening left-hander into the hairpin. Love seeing motorbikes going around here on the Macau Grand Prix weekend. Brushes the barrier on the right-hand side as we now head into the Melco hairpin. Tightest part on the circuit. There is a waved yellow out on this part, and it's more of a gentleman's rule as to whether they do or don't go for moves. I do remember in the WTCC Championship years ago, someone whacking on a massive J-turn after getting spun round coming out of the Melco hairpins. Very exciting indeed. Into Fisherman's, the penultimate corner, as we head down towards the final, the 90-degree right-hander that takes us back out onto the start-finish straight. I wouldn't call this the tidiest opening lap that we've ever seen on board with the drivers. We'll see what Alessandro Botti can do out of the final corner up towards the line. Again, a 2 minute 11.7 is what we were talking about in the previous practice session. Across the line for Alessandro Botti. I'm not even sure the lap's going to count. Balázs Nagy, the driver that's currently at the top.
Doesn't seem to have counted at all for Botti. Don't know why that was particularly, but he's going to have to go again. It didn't look terrible, I've got to say. It didn't look bad at all, but clearly something was not right with that lap, and he's had to go again. What really impressed me actually was his braking mark on the way down towards Lisboa here, down at turn 3. Some of the others we were watching earlier on were really struggling to pull it up in time for that, but he broke early enough to grab the apex very nicely there. Oh dear, as Balázs Nagy finds himself in the wall. He managed to grab the apex really nicely there, did Botti, and not only in that first lap, but also in the second lap that we just saw there as well. That's really impressed me actually, but the rest of it, just so close to the wall, so clean and consistent so far. Yeah, I think he's been driving all right, but clearly that first lap didn't count.
I think the reason why it didn't count was I think he clouted the wall too hard and a couple of points, and that invalidated. They're allowed to wall ride, and if you go near them or you go to them, I think a little bit of a scrape, you're fine. If you actually clip the wall pretty hard, that lap's not going to count. With it being 2 minutes 11, it's a long lap. They don't get many in this qualifying session. It is only 10 minutes long, so they're only realistically going to get 4 laps through the session. It's not easy to hook the lap together in all of that time with all the pressure on you. Track position's pretty important to street circuit after all.
Yeah, and it's one that's relatively difficult to make your way through the field as well. So track position, very, very important. These qualifying laps, very important as well. Because as you said, I don't have many laps to actually execute here, whereas in that practice session that we just saw, there will have been almost all the time in the world. There was certainly at least 3 times as long of a time to get some times in. So very different to what we have here in qualifying. This is one of the other drivers who's set lap time so far. Lok Chung Woo is in 9th at the moment. Just 6.3 seconds back. I say just 6.3 seconds back. It's quite a long way over the course of 1 lap, but it shows the difficulty of the circuit. Again, you can lose time very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Whilst I think quite a lot of drivers are setting decent first sectors comparatively to what we saw from Bence Farkas. Whatever, Farkas has clearly nailed that middle sector, setting it down now to an 11.1. Very impressive from Bence Farkas. So clearly having that central section hooked up very nicely, which is where all the time is. I mean, the first sector is not really very long anyway. It's only about 30 seconds long. And the final sector is not exactly a long one itself. It's this middle sector where all the time is. So you'll see probably quite a lot of purple on the timesheets. But it's that final, or the middle sector, where all that time is made up. I mean, Jonas Riedel, by the way, has gone half a second faster than Bence Farkas. There's got to be some setup stuff. Maybe Farkas is running a lot higher wing. I'm pretty sure it's not fixed setup for this, but again, I don't want to be quoted on that one because we're idiots.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not the first time either I've seen Farkas be destroyed in the first sector by someone. And look at the amount of purple first sectors you've got on the left-hand side as well. But there you go, 1.2 seconds lost through the middle sector. Certainly something going on there, as we've got a couple of new times in. Thomas Gontier makes his way up into 4th place, and Milan Toff into 6th as well. So some new times on the board coming in, but all of them with purple first sectors. Certainly something going on there. What can Riedel do now round the final corner? Currently 5th. Can he lift himself onto the first 2 rows? He needs to find a second, and he hasn't, although he has found quite a bit of time, and he 1.4 seconds off pole now.
Yeah, see where the final few lap times are coming in. We're in the last moments of the session. A lot of drivers will be around their final laps of the session. Thomas Gontier going faster in the first sector by 3/4 of a second. Clearly that car is set up for the straight line. Kind of thing is, if you've got a car that's decent in a straight line, right, when it comes to that race start, you could, if you're starting on the front couple of rows, you could absolutely be leading into Lisboa for the first time. So whilst it might not be the fastest car from a race standpoint, it could be pretty solid. From a qualifying standpoint, it could be pretty solid from a race standpoint.
Yeah. And also the fact that it will be slightly easier to defend as well once you're in that position. You might be wondering, well, if they've got no speed, then what's the point of even being in the lead? You're just going to get overtaken. But they might not, because on the sections where it is possible to overtake, they'll be very quick in a straight line and very difficult to get past, whereas they'll be struggling through this bit, and they'll sort of be a rolling roadblock, if you like, for those behind who will be struggling to get through. So that could be the tactic for someone, but as you say, you've got to be up there close, and if enough drivers do go for the high downforce setup and qualify in front of you, then it doesn't really matter, because you're going to fall too far behind. That is painful, and that won't be the last time we see that tonight with Thomas Gontier. He's lost 3 seconds in the middle sector. I'd imagine a lot of that came in that hairpin.
I don't think he entered wide enough into the Macau hairpin. And when you do so, when you enter too tight, obviously it's not really got the radius to turn. Bence Farkas, though, has broken the 2-minute 11 barrier, now on a 2-minute 10.9. So a decent improvement from the Hungarian on the front row. Keep your eye on Alessandro Botti, though. We head into that, the final portion, the final section of this qualifying session, as Jonas Riedel sent into the barrier, just overdone. His session will come to a close. There will be no more laps for the German. But I wonder if Alessandro Botti's got anything more in the tank. Certainly needs to show it now, although considering how short the first sector is and that they don't have a first sector on the board, I am told they're in the second sector, but I'm a little concerned there's not a lap time showing up in the first sector.
That does seem odd, because surely you'd have to go through the first sector
Weirdly,
to get to the second one. I would think, but I don't know on that one at the moment. It does look to me, though, as if most of the drivers who are at the front of the field and those who could challenge Bence Farkas are probably too far away at this point. I think Gontier may be the only one still out there on the circuit. Alessandro Botti doesn't seem to be really doing anything at the moment, so I don't think they're going to be getting close to Farkas, who has gone faster than anyone did in practice and has sort of surprised everyone. Maybe it'll certainly surprise me with this pole time.
That is a very swift lap time, a 10.9. It doesn't look like it's going to get beaten. I do believe that Alessandro Botti has now bailed from his lap, unless he's having some connections. It's showing him as in the final sector, but with no sectors. Although now the sectors have popped up, I think, because he's about to cross the line. Either way, he's in that fourth position right now. We've got Chun Wu coming into the final sector as well, but not on a lap time that's going to be valid, courtesy of the red sector. So we head into the final 20 seconds. It does seem as though Bence Farkas has most certainly done the job after a very impressive lap in qualifying, setting the 10.9. There is the improvement from Botti that we were kind of like wondering as to where it was going to come from. Puts him now into third position, but behind Balázs Nagy and Bence Farkas. Very impressive. But qualifying and racing around here is very different. And if Gontier's car's as fast and straight line as we think, could well be leading into Lisboa.
I don't think he's going to be the only one either who's fast in a straight line on the way towards Lisboa. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. But of course, we know we've seen in the past what can go wrong around turn 2 at the Mandarin Bend. You know, we don't want to see anyone in the wall through there because everyone's going to be so close. They're all going to go from a standing start, of course, on the start-finish straight, and they're not going to be up to a particularly high speed by that point. But even so, they'll be all side by side. They'll all be very close together. The slipstream will be benefiting everybody behind, and who knows what could happen around turn 2.
Of course, do remember that we will be having the GT3 race up after this. We've got a 25-minute race to deal with in the Formula RaceRoom 3s that we're battling around now. Once we're done with the 25-minute, we'll step back just for a second. We'll come back to you. We'll bring you the qualifying for the GT3s, and then 2 GT3 races that I'm sure will be thrilling, exciting. It's going to be a lovely evening of racing. But of course, it starts here with the Formula Racing 3s. I do love an open wheeler around here. There's something so special about about this in real life with the Macau Grand Prix. It's so exciting.
Yeah, there is, and you know, we talked about this earlier on. People were criticising the racing for being, you know, like Monaco or whatever, but it's certainly nothing like that. It is a fantastic racetrack. It's obviously lots of history around here. The F3 car as well, probably the fastest open wheelie you'd want around here, realistically. Yeah. But that means that, but it's not slow by any means either, is it? It's a really fast race car, and it produces good racing as well. I just hope that the field will stay close enough for us to really see the benefits of that, because qualifying and especially practice actually showed that this field could get very, very spread apart. Yeah, certainly so. And again, it's one of those things that, you know, giving a little bit of a plug and a little bit of plaudits here to RaceRoom themselves. This is the only place in sim racing that you can take a high quality, decent build of Macau for a spin in whatever car you want. So if you want to take it around in a modern F1 car, I mean, give it a go. I think you'd be pretty crazy, but hey, why not? It's so open for so many different cars and such, and like you say, to have a high quality build of Macau. I've had it for a few years now, and I absolutely love it. I adore it. It's something special when we get to go racing in it. But Ewan, are we going to see carnage down into Lisboa, or are we going to see a calm run? I'm going to go with carnage. It's such a tight corner, isn't it? It's such a big start, and also, even though they're starting from a standing start, they'll still be coming down from a really big speed. Or you know, high speed, sorry, and it could be carnage. Yeah, it's a very narrow corner, can't forget as well. Yeah, like I say, if there's an incident like what we saw with Dan Ticktum in the race earlier today in real life, where they got sent off into the barrier, then if that's high up the order, it's going to cause its fair share of drama. Lewis McGlade, Ewan O'Leary in the commentary brief there to take you through the Macau Grand Prix here on RaceRoom. Bence Farkas from pole position after an incredible qualifying and gets off to a solid start. Of course, everyone fanning out in the background trying to find their way through, but keep your eye on the Frenchman, Gontier in 5th position. Could well have an absolute bullet in a straight line as Sonchik is sent straight into the barrier in the background. Heading up into the second corner, Alessandro Botti sweeps his way through. Out into the barrier goes Balázs Nagy, Bence Farkas as well. This is getting a little bit sketchy, and Gontier has come through in a second. How did they all get through there? I've no idea, but Alessandro Botti leads the way. Gontier knows it's now or never almost. He goes round the outside, and does he make it? He gets it pulled up in time, and he'll be on the outside again. But it's the run uphill now, and unfortunately he's not going to be there. Bjorn is right in there as well now. Riedel next with Balázs Nagy and Bence Farkas 7th and 8th after starting on the front row together.
Yeah, exactly. It shows they've got a qualifying car set up round here, and not much more than that, as Gontier's got to deal with Bjorn as well as they head through maternity and now down into the tight and twisty streets. This is where Alessandro Botti, if he's got a car with sort of like medium downforce, he needs to light up this middle sector and set basically the same kind of time that he was setting in qualifying through this middle sector to try and break some gap to Gontier before they get down onto the straights. Look at that in the background. Was that Rokas de B? No, it was Balazs and Ben Farkas.
I think they're trying to make moves around this section because they know that's where their car is strong, and that was very close as Bekarovic tried to go through. On the inside again is Farkas on the way into the next corner. Oh, and off the road is Rokas de B. Straight on into the wall. Balzas Notches hit the wall as well. Bekarovic and Rossi will both go through as well. What a start we have seen so far. I was not expecting to see this on the opening lap.
Weren't you? I mean, this is exactly what I was expecting, just the chaos as they head their way down into the Melco hairpin. That is an awkward line if ever I've seen it, and this is what you get. The big checkups. I think that was Luca Henkel who was taking that awkward line. Big slap onto the nose for Sonchik, who's just trying to basically work this car around. It's kind of not really got a front wing. It's more the nose that's missing. Either way, lap complete. Look at the race lead. Gontier right on the rear end of Botti as we head our way towards the first corner and up towards Mandarin once again.
Well, this is exciting stuff, but Gontier is in a great place. I've got to say I was downplaying his straight line abilities more than you were building him up, and for good reason right now, because he's going for the lead again. Round the outside of Mandarin for the lead, and he does get there. Botti has to just tuck in, and he's going nowhere, even despite the slipstream. Gontier is so quick in a straight line, and Botti knows it. He wants to get back down the inside again before the twistier section, but he can't do it, and the Frenchman is the leader.
Beautiful move, absolutely beautiful move, straight around the outside of Mandarin. Just had the bravery, had the commitment, sent it around, could have waited until the run down towards Lisboa and said, absolutely not. And bish bash bosh, there's been a bit more of an issue as Iapure gets sent off. That'll probably be going into the likes of Lisboa. Big moment there though from Milan Toth as they head towards Mandarin. Betsievich and of course Rossi also in that tow. It's all a little sketchy from some of these in the pack, but I think like the big one that we need to talk about, what has happened to Balazs Noj and to Ben Farkas. Farkas has gone slightly better than he's at least been able to hold on the 5th position, but yeah, big drama as Herbie, Noj, Brandt all in the pit lane. Yeah,
that explains partly why Noj is so far back. They're down on pit lane at the moment. Quite a few drivers, in fact, down on pit lane after that. Rokas de B, one of those able to avoid pit lane, actually, despite hitting the wall at this corner. It was this right-hander as you go up towards the hill at Morris Hill, turn 18. This is. I'd imagine he got assistance to be there, to be fair, but didn't see who he was around to really point any fingers with that one. But De Beer has got a long race ahead of him now, and possibly a long race of being stuck in traffic as well, especially at this section.
Yeah, exactly. You've just got to be patient through here. If you try and bite anything off, yes, there's a gentleman's agreement. Yes, there's kind of a yellow out at all times, but you've just got to be patient around here. The Melco hairpin is such a difficult corner. Sonchik, by the way, staying out on the track, so credit. I think we should really keep our eye on this, though. Let's see now what the difference will be in the straight line between Botti and Gontier. At the moment, it's 0.4 of a second as they cross the line. Meanwhile, Ben Farkas is trying to work his way back up the order, picking up a little bit of the slipstream of Rydell, but they've got a little bit of lap traffic as well to deal with as they come out. But I think that Farkas and Outlaw have gone for way too much downforce around here.
Well, yeah, it's easy to say that now, but I feel like that's the setup they've decided goes fastest round here. But you do have to think about the race as well, and these two certainly have. Gontier and Botti seem to have gone for the right balance. Gontier gave Botti a bit too much room there, and the Italian is down the inside, and he's the new leader again. They're exchanging places lap on lap.
Yeah, indeed. Alessandro Botti then up to the race lead. Like you say, a bit of a mistake there from Gontier. One thing to note with the car, when you've got lower downforce on, it's a little bit more sketchy. It's a little bit more slippery. I think Rydell's had the problem. Ben Farkas has been involved in maternity. And oh my goodness, wait for this. Here we go. We've got 3 drivers involved in all of this. I think a couple more might be added to it. Well, I think he's out of the way now, is Jonas Rydell.
Just about. Oh, and there's off the road as well. For is that? Oh, I don't know. Someone was scraping around the wall there. Not sure who it was, but that was pretty awkward as well. It's a narrow place, of course, and we could have very easily had an entire roadblock there. But thankfully, I don't know who it was, but somebody just went straight back to pit lane. Quit straight, just disappeared entirely.
But then when you look at it, I think this is kind of one of the things that takes us back a little bit as well, and prepares us for the GT3 race a little bit later on. By the way, I think it was Ben Farkash, by the way, because he's no longer on the tower. I think he might have pulled the plug completely. But yes, what I was going to say is, well, there's no such thing as a favourite around here, and that will lead into the GT3 race where. Just because you've got maybe one of the faster cars, maybe you're one of the faster drivers around here, I don't mean nothing. Because the door is wide open for anyone to close through. Half a second between our race leaders as they complete another lap. I do get the feeling there is going to be absolutely a chance for the Frenchman to retake over the race lead, as I think Radius might have struggled to get through the radius of a corner.
The 180 degrees or whatever it is. That hairpin. I think they're all free now, but even so, very, very tricky to get around there indeed. Now on board with Thomas Gontier again. Is he going to do the same thing again? He's round the outside of Mandarin, and Botti is going to squeeze him, but it's an easily flat out corner in these cars. Not much commitment required, but it's absolutely flat out at G-forces to the maximum, and now in towards Lisboa. He's a long way alongside Gontier, but Botti brakes later this time. Gontier brakes too late and very nearly finds the wall. That was close.
And now look at the gap that he's lost out to Alessandro Botti. Plenty of side-by-side bits of action. So Bizzierit gets himself into fourth position. Sebastiano Rossi gets down the inside of Kovac, going down into Lisboa as well. We'll see a couple of those switches. As we'll see Bizzierit, the Bosnian, try and hang on against Milan Top as they head their way down towards maternity. Differing lines between the pair of them, and it has not been good for the Bosnians. Straight around the outside, Toth's going to go. Well read, got to be said.
Yeah, good battle now, but it is losing them a bit of time. They're coming quite a long way adrift of a podium place. Bjorn is a good 6 seconds away now, so that could be a concern for the both of them, especially with the next, 7 or so, within 10 seconds of them. So that must be a concern. But there's Felix Bjorn. He would have been hoping that the leading two would have fought for a bit longer, actually, so that he could catch up to them. But they're no longer really together. 1.2, 1.3 seconds, and they're not fighting anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I think, to be fair, I was kind of wondering, and I was going to bring it up. I thought that Gontier was, there's a bit of drama in the back. I think there's one going a lap down, though, so don't worry. Oh, no, never mind. It's just Rokas to be. Oh, no, Rokas to be just got involved, and now they've blocked the entire circuit. Good effort. I think, like I said, there was a bit of lap traffic in there, and Rokas to be just getting awkwardly in, and there's an extra spin as well. Oh, it's not looking like the highest quality class act, but alas, they stay in the race. What I was going to say is I was expecting Gontier to go into the barrier at Lisboa, and if he kept pushing that hard, he was always going to end up in it. He's got less downforce in his car, which means that you've got essentially less stopping power as well, and it was always going to cause a little bit of a problem. Well, that's why Radius is struggling to get through that corner.
Yeah, he's struggled again and found the wall on the exit there. Sunchik catches up as well as we go back to the battle for 6th place. This is between Sebastiano Rossi and Janis Kovac in the 6th and 7th positions at the moment. So 10 minutes gone now, and these two are probably the closest of the top 10 drivers in terms of a battle. Interesting that Kovac is going for a different strategy than Botti did, or Gontier, sorry, did on Botti earlier on for the lead of the race. He waits around Mandarin, follows him behind, then gets the slipstream towards Lisboa. Is it going to be a little bit more difficult for him to do that, though? He's broken very late. Can he stop in time? Not sure whether he managed it. Oh, he did just about manage it, I think, and he's on the outside again. Normally that line doesn't prevail, but it will do this time.
They come up San Francisco Hill, and is indeed Kovac getting his way through. That was a bit bold, a bit risky. I think the main reason why I was waiting so long, I don't think he had the straight line speed as what we saw comparatively in the difference between Gontier and Botti. They head their way through maternity. The yellow flag comes out for one of our back markers, but nothing too major in that front. Seen quite a lot of yellow flags and a bit of drama coming out in this in the opening 10 minutes. Still got 14 and a half left to go in what has become a very swiftly reduced field in the Formula RaceRoom 3s. But this is our race leader at the moment. coming out of Donna Maria now down towards the Melco hairpin. I think now that gap's been, shuffled to just around 2 seconds. Kind of sitting in a more comfortable spot. It's just about getting the most out of that middle sector now for Alessandro Botti. He needs to kind of take a little bit of risk in there, I guess.
And I think it's paying off at the moment. It's extending the gap. He just needs to continue doing what he's doing. And with Gontier out of the slipstream, there's not a lot that the Frenchman can do, really. He'd have to defy the laws of physics, I think, to catch up with Alessandro Botti at the moment. So it's going to be very, very tricky for him. I think Thomas Gontier, by the way, has got the least wing on of anybody. He's certainly the fastest in a straight line of anybody. And that's making it very difficult for anyone to overtake him, and he's finding overtakes relatively easy. I mean, look at the delta to Botti right now. Even though they're not together, he's still gaining time. Now, I know he's benefiting from a slipstream that he's gained fortuitously here, but even so, he's gaining time anyway. And it's down to 1.7, but I just can't see a way where he gets back into the slipstream of Botti, really.
No, I agree, especially with the times that we were seeing in practice. Alessandro Botti is looking like, coming into this was arguably the fastest driver, as Stroher's the next one to bring out the yellow flag. This is looking backwards to the battle for 6th position as Kovac is going to try and defend from Sebastiano Rossi. Roles reversed from the previous lap. Rossi, though, either not having the slipstream or lifting out of it slightly, not wanting to force the issue coming down into Lisboa, which, to be fair, is not normally a bad idea. It's so narrow into Lisboa, you don't really want to go side by side into the corner. You don't really want to commit to a move going in there, because if you make a slight mistake on the brakes, you are taking a little cheeky visit to the Tech Pro barrier. But also, you can, if you're filling the mirrors, you can almost distract the driver ahead and kind of get them to drive into the wall for you. It works.
That does help.
It does.
It's a recognised tactic. I don't think it's anything controversial to say that. Oh dear, and speaking of which, almost straight into the wall there was Guillaume Blanc in the 11th place now, as Mauro Labuschagne gets through into the top 10 all of a sudden. That was one of those occasions where, you get in the mirrors and
Gontier
goes in the wall.
Gontier's had a problem out of the driver that was close to battling for the race. I did kind of wonder if he's driving a car that's low downforce, if he's driving a car that's difficult, is it going to bite him? And it did. You're absolutely right. Donna Maria, weird corner for it to have bitten on.
I think he clipped the inside. He must have clipped the inside with his rear left, I'd imagine, just getting too close and spun around. But because, that was a weird thing to see, I've got to say. In faith the wrong way. Fair play to everyone for skipping around him quite nicely, actually, but I think he realised at some point that I'm never getting this turned around, so I might as well just go back to pit lane.
Yeah, exactly. Probably, checking out where things are in the race, where other drivers are in the race, and thinking, Brandt's now the next one to add to the retirement list, which is growing and growing and growing. The car graveyard, Macau bites again. We are up to 7 cars retired from this race, so not ideal. Probably not done on the retirement front either, although I think it probably will slow down as Felix Bjorn is now the driver, finding himself in that 2nd position, being closed in on by Milan Toth.
Well, normally I would agree, but because some of these, or I would say quite a significant percentage of these crashes are actually single car incidents, I would say that the rate of DNFs might actually not slow down, because I understand there's less cars in the race, to be fair, and so maybe it will in that way. But if people are making mistakes on their own, then there's nothing to suggest that going longer in this race will reduce mistakes, I wouldn't imagine. It only means tiredness will increase and there'll be more. So it could well continue on like this. Hopefully not, because we'll have almost no one left. But it's been quite an attritional race so far, and there's some damaged cars that are going around by the looks of things as well, some wonky looking machines.
I will say that there are some wonky machines. That is, that ain't tracking straight. That ain't tracking straight. That's like the Arca car I was driving the other night, and I hated that. So I can imagine how this is. I will say, by the way, of a few of the drivers that have retired from this race, the likes of Melvin Brandt that we saw retiring, for Rokas de B, for Thomas Gontier, they're taking part in the GT3s as well. Probably have gone, right, get out of this, get in the rhythm of the GT3 straight away.
and you need to as well, because this is a sort of a light single-seater. In comparison, the GT3s are very heavy, so you do need to get, and bit bigger as well, I think it's fair to say. So need to get yourself accustomed to that around there. But even leaving now, you know, they've not given themselves ages to get accustomed to that. You know, there's only a very short intermission before I think qualifying starts. Only a few minutes after this this race ends. So the GT3s, so it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's not the easiest. Let's let's put it that way. Yeah, like you say, you don't really have too much to deal with. And let's be honest, this is not too similar of a car to drive compared to a GT3. It's quite a bit faster, and you know, got a bit more. It's got a little bit more grip. As Iapure is the next one to add to the retirement list, which continues to grow. As I think we're up to about 9 now, with Sebastiano Rossi and Kovac. They're the ones putting on the show at the moment. 8 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. As once again we have this drag down to Lisboa. Alessandro Botti with the complete control of the race, but I think he's had a couple of mistakes the last couple of laps. As we see this battle continue, Sebastiano Rossi up to 5th position.
A pretty slam dunk move in the end. If Kovac decided he wanted to try and hang it around the outside, well, he just wasn't simply going to be able to, as Rossi was very stern in his overtake there, and makes his way through into the top 5. Wow, that's a dive, and well, I thought he just made a mistake really, Kovac, but it looked in the end more and more like an orchestrated move. In the end, it didn't come off, but that was ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes you got to think outside the box and you got to give it a go. That was it was an attempt, we'll put it that way. But like you say, trying to get them off the line. I think actually had a bit of an issue going through this this S's section now as Kovac. So that gap is going to go. Rokas de B continues in this race, but he has worked his way up to 11th position, as you can see. I've got to say, got some decent pace on the car as Andrea Radius at the moment, despite the car not driving even remotely close to a straight line, which around this circuit, it's not what I'd want.
Must be an absolute nightmare for him, really. I wonder what, how bad it actually is, sort of the steering wise. But of course, you're not often going straight around here, so I guess you wouldn't notice. But for the straights that you are, they go on for quite some time. So I wonder what he's losing in that respect. It does just look wrong though, that car, when it's the way it's behaving. You can tell that something's not right with it, and he is scraping a few of the walls around as well, which is fair enough. He's probably struggling to keep control of that car at the moment, so fair play to him for keeping and managing this. Still 12th place is a respectable result, and he'll probably able to hang on for at least 13th, I would imagine, given the gaps behind him.
Thought that we're going to be joined a little bit by Mauro Lambrosini, who I think had a bit of an issue. I was going to say it might have been into Donna Maria, like what we've seen with Gontier. That car is also not driving straight. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Just on the straight, you can just see the fact that you can see the rear left tyre at the moment is a bit concerning. Or rear right tyre, sorry.
Yes, yeah, rear right is it actually is fit, I suppose. But yeah, it's that's
look at it,
noticeable. It does look a bit ridiculous, but it's the suspension damage that you've got to deal with, and unfortunately, Lamborghini unfortunately has picked that up over the course of the day, and he's just having to deal with that. I think that's kind of settled, or it should have settled this battle between himself and Guillaume Blanc, but Blanc actually has made an error somewhere because he's still 12 or 13 seconds behind. Yeah,
I've got to say this car and some of the cars that are racing around here at the moment do look like some of the video footage of planes that I've seen landing at East Midlands Airport, where there's quite a significant crosswind. Of course, that's near Donington Park. There's quite a bit of crosswind.
I know exactly where that is.
And they do. I classified it as drifting to a pilot, and they looked at me in disgust, as I don't think drifting is the correct term. But they were coming in sideways. Let's put it that way.
Well, what is it then? What is it called?
I don't know. I'm not an airplane driver.
Pilotist.
Pilotist, yes. No, I'm neither of those things. We're just irritating a lot of the flight simulator community here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, aviation fans who are listening to this, but they're not listening anymore. They've thrown whatever device they've been listening on out of the window, I think, by this point. So I'm sorry about that, but But anyway, we're clueless. Left clueless. We'll go with drifting. That sounds right to me.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it does almost look like, I think even Toff is a bit of suspension damage, doesn't he? In third place, he doesn't look quite right. So I mean, by the end, everyone's almost is going to have some form of damage, surely. I mean, Botti's being caught right now. Maybe he's struggling at the moment.
Well, maybe we should take a look at Alessandro Botti and maybe see if the car's tracking straight. It looks pretty straight to me. Maybe he's just yeah, straight. He's not, maybe he's not pushing the car to the absolute limit right now. And let's be honest, there's a circuit that you should really respect. This is quite high up there. With obviously like the streets of Monte Carlo and places like that. Like you do need to respect the track and the car you're in.
Yeah, you certainly do. And I think, Botti has just toned it back, really, hasn't he? 6 seconds is the margin. He's sort of holding it at that. He knows that he doesn't really need to push on the pace anymore. Doesn't need to take any risks here. A very calm and measured drive from here on in order, I'd say, for Alessandro Botti. Don't get too close to the walls in relative terms, of course. He's still getting rather close. You get quite close, even being in the middle of the road, to be honest. So he'll just make sure that he doesn't clip any walls, doesn't get any damage, negotiates any lap cars, which he might have to for the remainder of the day, and he should be on his way. And he does indeed have a lap car right in front of him at the hairpin.
Yeah, but look at this. He's just completely in the rhythm. He's won with the circuit. Just narrowly avoids the barriers on a few occasions. To be fair, I don't think he's getting as close to them as you can. Not quite hooking it up, but then again, why would you get that close when you don't need to? Heading down to the penultimate corner, picking up the slipstream of the car. I think we might have 2 laps left to go based on where they are, because like I say, time-wise, it should be absolutely fine to have done so. And so through the final corner, I say, going on to the penultimate lap for what should be a comfortable run to the checkered flag.
And only 11 laps, actually. The race pace, fair bit slower than the qualifying pace, and so it's taken a few laps off the board. And
we were expecting 12.
I said 12, but
so
it's
it will
going to
be
be 11.
12. No, it will be 12.
Oh, it says lap 11. Sorry, yeah.
Because we're on lap 11.
Oh, that. Sorry, I'm reading the timing screen as if that is the lap that they've just started. It really means the one they've just completed. So yes, yeah, you're right. We are going to do 12. So that's fine. That's always my eternal argument I have with timing screens, because it never quite makes clear whether it means the one they've just finished or the one they've just started.
Yeah, it never clarifies it. But yes, we will have 12 laps. We're on the 11th one as far as I'm aware at the moment. But because of where they're going to cross the line, we're on the penultimate lap now. It's fine. Don't worry, Ewan. I got you. It's again very confusing. Either way, Alessandro Botti is the one that is in control. I do think Milan Toth might close back in and be able to fight for the runner-up position against Felix Bjorn, but for the most part, this race has seemingly calmed itself down as we prepare ourselves for the GT3 race. Good effort, Milan Toth. I was talking you up there a little bit, and you decided to slap a barrow, though Felix Bjorn's made an absolute hash brown of that section. No, it's not Felix Bjorn, never mind. Woo.
No. That's one of the lap cars. Although I couldn't tell you which one. It's one of the lap cars out there at the moment. Mazzotta, I guess. As Sebastiano Rossi has found himself in the wall towards the S's. Oh no, he might not be able to retrieve himself either. He's certainly got a lack of a front wing. He has got going again, but he's got no front wing. Henkel is right there, as well as Lamborghini as well, who will both take his place, surely.
Yeah, like I say, I think there's a bit of drama in that. I mean, these cars, because they're not as downforce reliant as, say, for example, a Formula 1 car, you can generally survive a little longer without a front wing. It does mean that car might be an absolute missile on the start-finish straight and the run round towards Lisboa, although I guarantee you'll hit them all at Mandarin, courtesy of the lack of front wing. Do you think Rossi's going to pit? Surely not.
No, surely not. With only seconds remaining, he'll do his very best. He might be difficult to overtake.
I like how his front wing's still got a shadow.
Has it? I can't see that, to be honest,
Well,
at the moment.
you'll see in a second. Look,
Oh, he has, yes.
His front wing's still got a shadow, bless it.
Well, there we go. It could be quite hard to overtake here,
Yeah.
Rossi. I know he's got terrible front downforce, and oh dear, and maybe clearly not as much understeer as Lamborghini. He's gone straight into the wall there at Fisherman's Bend, and now he's got damage as well. But if he didn't have it already, of course. But Rossi might be fairly difficult to overtake. I think Henkel is going to be almost already alongside. But what's going to happen here? I guess he's really going to struggle through Mandarin, though, isn't he? This could even be a problem. Rossi is going to squeeze it. I would not want to be Henkel in this position.
No. I would not want to go side by side with that car. Though thankfully, at least he's on the inside going into Mandarin. Milan Toth has had a problem. Get in the middle of the road going down to Lisboa. It's a very odd place to see a car. He now adds to the retirement list as we head back to the battle now for 6th. So Sebastiano Rossi has held on to 6th position, but I get the feeling this might be his biggest test heading into Lisboa. Pulls it up to the apex. Brilliant driving from the feisty Italian.
And I think Henkel there was so wary of the driver in front of him and being nerved off the road that he decided, I'm not going to go for this because I could find myself in the wall very quickly. Thankfully, he hasn't, as Felix Bjorn is also recovering from a problem now.
Yeah, like I say, I think they're having quite a few issues, as you can see where these drivers are. Betsy Everett will now make his way onto the podium into 2nd position, the Bosnian, so fantastic for him. And he started this lap in 4th position, so this is a bit of a shock for him. But ahead of all of that, coming down now into the penultimate corner. What a drive it's been from Alessandro Botti. I like to say, it's just been a bit patient, dealt with the issues of the likes of Gontier in the opening stages, and now gets to cruise his way down to the final corner as the Italian will head through that last turn and then come up towards the line to take victory here in the Formula RaceRoom 3s at the Macau Grand Prix, the RaceRoom ranked special event. Fantastic performance from the Italian, just pieced his way through beautifully. Where it was looking like his win might have come under pressure, It's not going to, because Betsy Everett has now had an issue himself. Has he run out of fuel, potentially? Something in that vein. And now he's going to lose the podium as it is now Bjorn and Kovacs. What is happening in this race?
And somebody suggesting in the chat as well that Toth might have run out of fuel as well. So that may have been why he was in such a strange position on the way down towards Lisboa. Yep. Felix Bjorn has gotten back into 2nd place. Then Kovacs will join him on the podium. And in 4th place, it's going to be Kan Anguven as well in the top 5, having not seen him all day long. He's managed to get up into 4th place. So what a bizarre ending. And Sebastiano Rossi is going to be in the top 5 after all. Such
a weird race. Like I said, we don't typically see too many issues when it comes to fuel issues. Normally, when we're running like fixed setup and stuff, normally it's fine. This definitely isn't any of that. It's been wide open. It's what's created such an odd and interesting 25 minutes of racing to open the evening. As Guillaume Blanc will now cross the line, we'll still have to wait for quite a few corners. Rokas to be the next one. Balázs Nagy, by the way, obviously still in the race and has the fastest lap, courtesy of returning his way to pit lane. What a disappointment for him, for Pence Farkas and the likes behind.
Yeah, absolutely. A big switch up from what we saw in qualifying. Alessandro Botti at the front, ahead of Felix Bjorn, and Jonas Kovacs on the podium as well.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very impressive. And like I say, solid drives from Alessandro Botti. Like I say, we'll take our look down the order. You can see the likes of, like I said, Rokas to be down there. Radius managing to get his way through the race with unreal damage on the car. As, to be fair, did quite a few drivers. I'm struggling to even remember the order that some of these drivers ended up in earlier on in the race. A whole host of retirements from it as we prepare ourselves for the GT3 action, which will be coming up in a few moments' time. Taking a look at more of the retirements, 2 disqualifications as well. If you thought this race was crazy, prepare yourself for GT3 action. We've got a qualifying session coming up and then 2 GT3 races, 1 20 minutes, 1 40 minutes as well. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Well, back then to preparing for racing action, of course, the Macau Grand Prix, our special event here on RaceRoom. It's myself, Lewis McGlade, it's Ewan O'Leary alongside. We've had a frantic Formula 3 race on the build-up to this, but now it's time to start talking GT3s, Ewan. Fantastic section of cars. You know, we do love ourselves a little bit of GT3 racing here on RaceRoom, and to be fair, when you've got a couple of races around here, we're in for some pretty exciting stuff.
We are. It's going to be a similar feel to what we saw for the FR3 race, I think it's fair to say, in terms of this track is not going to get any wider. In fact, it's going to feel even narrower because the GT3s do feel a bit bulkier, of course, and it will feel like a little bit of a different race, but very much looking forward to it once again. GT3s around here are fantastic, and we've got a reverse grid for race 2 to look forward to as well for the top 10, so what's not to like about this? Yeah,
indeed, which means that, you've got to think. To be fair, if I'm wanting to win that feature race, I am thinking of finishing, 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in that vein. We'll take a look at the cars we're racing in. Again, if you've watched our GT3 racing, you'll kind of know roughly where we're going. We've got the Audi R8, the BMW M4, the Bentley Continental represent the Callaway. We love a bit of the Callaway. I do anyway. Ferrari, the McLaren 720, the Mercedes AMG GT3, and of course the Porsche 911 GT3 R, which is obviously the newer one on the platform. Again, I always ask a question I generally always forget. What car would you pick from this grouping?
If the Z4's not here, I'll go for the McLaren 720S probably.
Really?
Out of these, yeah, maybe, yeah.
You have such weird opinions. Although to be fair, the McLaren is probably the most consistent car. If I was doing a championship, I'd definitely. But you know me, I've got to go Callaway. Love the Callaway.
I know you love the Callaway. I'm not basing this on any performance parameters, by the way. I'm just sort of randomly picking one more than anything. So yeah, why not the McLaren? Maybe the Porsche. It's pretty cool.
I was going to say, surely you'd go for like a Manti Porsche. You do love the big green monster. There it is. There it is. Although you no longer look like that on Discord, so who knows? Of course, these are the cars we're racing in. The circuit is still the same, though. Like you say, if anything, it is going to get narrower in such big cars. 6.1 kilometers on the run around. Again, those enormous, the front stretch, right, basically pinned. Be a slight lift going through Mandarin in these kind of cars, maybe a little bit of a dab of the brakes to get the nose in on that run to Lisboa, and then it's up San Francisco Hill and into the tight and twisty sections, which will feel awkward and lethargic in cars as big as this. We, though, are heading into qualifying to see exactly how things are going to be pieced together. And like we say, track position around here will be extremely, extremely important as we can see Sebastian Ray there out on circuit. Quality field, this one.
It is a quality field. Sebastian Ray, one of the top drivers within it as well. He's the best rated driver in the field. Of course, that doesn't mean necessarily he's going to win, but he does have the best rating on RaceRoom, given the way that we do it. That's a bit of a scrape of the wall already, though. And yes, he's already decided that is enough for that lap, and he's going to go again. I'm feeling that might be happening a few more times to some others.
Yeah, that was suboptimal, to say the least. Like I say, you can't really make contact with the barriers if you're going to set a lap time around here. It will invalidate your qualifying. And like you say, we can see in the top left, we're already, minute and 20 seconds into this qualifying session. It's already ticking away. And as such, we'll take a look around the circuit on board with the man himself, Sebastian Ray, and see how he pieces himself around here. Heading through the first quarter reservoir, heading through Mandarin, and now on this run down towards Lisboa that will cause its fair share of problems, especially here in the GT3 races. It's caused a couple of problems in the Formula 3s, although less than what we were expecting. Lovely through the apex there at Lisboa. Now we come through the fourth corner up San Francisco Hill, much cleaner than what it was on the first run. And as we were saying, watch out for the circuit. It will slightly open up on the right-hand side, and you kind of need to use it just a touch before you swing it left and keep it close to this wall on the left-hand side, making sure not to understeer too much. Then through the maternity bend, and then up towards Teddy Yip, which is a really awkward corner. It's so much later on the apex than you want, and like we were saying in the Formula 3s, this is slightly awkward through here. In the GT3s, so much more so as you head through Solitude, and then down this slightly little dip, back up, and then slightly down again. It's all very much all over the place. You've got to keep right within the rhythm and be highly committed. There's very few brake markers as well around here. So you kind of have to go on your gut as we head up towards the police corner at the right-hander, up towards Moorish, where we saw Rokas to be in the barrier, as well as this whole section being covered by a couple of cars, down towards Donna Maria, which saw the retirement of Thomas Gontier in the previous race. Heading now out of the Donna Maria corner, down towards the Melco hairpin, which, like I say, if this corner wasn't awkward in the Formula 3s, well, it certainly is now. Awkwardly plays his way through, although to be fair, beautifully done from Sebastian Ray, dropping down the final section of Black Sands towards Fisherman's as we run along the waterfront, basically along this sort of pier-esque part of the racetrack, water left, water right. And of course the highway that they run on as we head down into the final corner, looking like actually a very tidy lap from Sebastian Ray. Rastance is the driver with the top time at the moment in the Ferrari with a 2:18.0. I get the feeling this is going to be a fair amount faster. That looks like a very, very tidy lap indeed. On board with the German up towards the line, and it is indeed faster, a 2:16.8.
Yeah, a lot faster than the rest of the field as well. Surely there are going to be some others getting close to that time. Frank Van Roon will be next up to try and do that. I've got to say, Porsche looks to be the car of choice here this evening around Macau. Not only has Sebastian Ray chosen it, but quite a lot of the rest of the field have. And Frank Van Roon has gone up into second place in that Porsche now as well, albeit a second back from his manufacturer teammate, if you want to call, if they can call themselves that. So it's certainly the car to choose, but some others have gone for the Corvette, like Raphael Heinrich in fourth place, and Thomas Marchena, who's making his way towards the line right now as well.
But I will say, Ewan O'Leary will have severe bias to Darius Vilgosh and, of course, Thomas Gontier, mostly based on the fact that they're in the Manthey Porsche, and for no other reason. You do love that car. And I'm really just forcing the fact that you love that car now. You might not even like it that much, but you do now. So enjoy it.
That's fine. There's a lot worse things you could force me to like, to be fair. So
like Evgeny Somchik's car.
I'll tell you, I don't know what his car looks like. I need to have a look. As Zabdir puts in a great time. Another Porsche, albeit, but fastest by nearly 4 tenths.
Well, yeah, that's a very impressive lap time. Like I said, we need to really pick these ones apart, see what the actual lap times are. We didn't quite see what it was from practice. We don't really have the largest benchmark, but that was very nice from Marius Zabdir, of course. But to say that we've got a whopping 30-car grid, we're halfway through this qualifying session. Only 14 of them have set times as Melvin Brantno goes into 9th position. Of course, a driver who has recently been working his way up the ranks in RaceRoom, of course, is a commentator as well. So shout out to Melvin. Certainly someone that I've seen mostly doing stuff on the F1 scene, but still, Melvin Brandt trying to work his way up, and he was talking to me about how excited he was to do some of these like ranked races and stuff, moving his way forward. So clearly he's quite quick, as a man now moves up into 3rd place. Oh,
sorry, for a brief moment there, I thought you were just saying a man, but you mean Manuel Aman.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I thought that was one of the strangest things you've ever said in commentary, but no, it's fine.
I've said worse.
Well, yeah, but well, now I know. Yeah. So on to the second row. I say it is all Porsches at the moment. Some other manufacturers further down. First to the Mercedes, setting a lap time right at the back. Unfortunately for the moment, though, that's not a representative lap time from Jérôme Thévenon. I wouldn't imagine. And Jim Best as well can probably go a little bit quicker than that in the Mercedes. There is Thévenon over the line, 10 seconds back from pole at the moment. Only Audi of Rui Felipe still yet to set a time yet either. And we've got a couple of BMWs on the field as well, but and a couple of McLarens, but not too many of those. And one Ferrari, which is up in 5th place.
But we do have Bernie Eccleston on the grid, so at least there's that. That is the actual name in game. As well. Wow. So respect. It's Doppelganger Racing. Wonder why. That's fun. Good joke. Good joke. Few drivers that are further down the order yet to set lap times, though, that we do need to keep an eye on. Gaspar Misch, Thomas Gontier, also the likes of, I did see Rui Felipe down there. We know the Portuguese drivers plenty fast enough. So there's a few drivers kind of that are yet to chuck a time onto the board that we're awaiting as we see one of your favoured liveries. Again, I'm still a bit more in favour of the Sonchik car, though maybe I'm the only fan of it.
Maybe you might be. It looks all right. I did have a look. I did go and have a look. Decent livery for Kashbo Mish as well. I've got to say he's going pretty quickly as well. Although only in the first sector, actually. In the middle sector seems to have struggled a little bit more, and he'll probably find himself in the midfield somewhere after this time. In fact, yes, maybe lower than the midfield actually. 15th place for the Slovenian. So he gets himself on the board at the very least, because I think still about 10 drivers yet to set a time with 2 minutes to go, which is a bit concerning.
Did you miss my joke?
No, I did get it, but I chose to move on.
Okay, that's fine. Just making sure that you were well aware as to what I was talking about with Evgeny Sonchik's car. So at least there's that. That's cool. I do respect.
I've not seen it yet.
I do respect the choice. Yeah, Chris does not want to show it on screen. He's absolutely. He's not a fan. No. He's certainly not subscribed to that livery. Anyway, well, there it is.
Oh,
perfect. No. I will say it's a good livery.
It is a good livery. No, that's what I was saying earlier. It is a good livery. Although it's a little bit too little orange on there for me for a McLaren. But anyway.
Yeah, it's no. I mean, to be fair, I think it's a solid livery. I enjoyed seeing it in real life. To be fair, that now makes it sound worse considering the sponsorship, but it's fine. We will move on and focus back onto the qualifying session. Purple first sector coming in from Darius Velgosh, but I think that's more down to not setting, like kind of crossing the split in an awkward way. We sometimes see this because he doesn't have a time registered in the first sector. The second sector is actually kind of okay, but at least it does seem as though it's going to be a valid lap time for Velgosh and puts him up into 5th position. Did see a couple of improvements as well, Heinrich into 3rd. But yeah, for Velgosh, it's pretty important to have worked his way up the order like that.
Yeah, very important in this qualifying session to get that track position. Now, if you can get over the line again in the next 40 seconds or so, then definitely do, because you need those extra few places before the start of the race. Although saying that, those who qualified on pole and up towards the front for the FL3 race just a few moments ago did not go so well, so maybe it's a bit of a bad omen for the race, but we'll see how we go in the opening moments. I think that run down towards Lisboa is going to be very important.
Final moments of the session, still about 20 seconds left to go, so we'll see if there's going to be any lap times coming in, although I do believe the only one that could do is like Luca Henkel. The likes of Timur Gontier not setting a lap time, so they're down the order, unfortunately, although I do believe I might have just seen one pop in, but nope. Like I say, quite a lot of drivers further down the order where we'd expect. But that is what it is when it comes to this style of racing. So, Mari Sabdir on the pole position. Sebastian Ray alongside Raphael Heinrich. Mamo Man up there. Darius Velgosh. Fraser Rostan's like, it's there's some pretty decent drivers on this grid. And it is not going to be an easy run down into Lisboa on the first lap. We didn't see as much carnage, to be perfectly honest, in the Formula RaceRoom 3s. What were we expecting in this?
To be fair, we got about as much as I was expecting, actually. I wasn't surprised by the lack of it, I've got to say. I was just, it was just kind of what I thought, actually, but especially in the opening moments. But yeah, it could be a bit more tricky in these. They'll all fan out, of course, but the problem with these, though, is the fact that they'll string out a bit more around Mandarin Bend. That's the problem. They're not quite as easily flat out as the FR3s were around there. By no means that they're easily flat out around there, especially when you're side by side with someone else. So that could help them on the run down towards Lisboa.
Like I say, I think whilst we had a couple of problems through the race in the Formula 3s, we didn't have too much when it comes to opening lap drama. I do get the feeling we might well get some in this. If not in the first race, most certainly in the second. Again, a reminder, we have 2 races to do here in the GT3s. The first of which will be 20 minutes long. The second of which will be 40 minutes. But there is a top 10 reverse grid in that one. Just waiting for qualifying to fully wrap up, and then we'll be jumping straight in. There's no lap times coming in, it is over, but we'll be moving our way into the race. Do you think our winner was completely unpredictable, basically, in the previous? Yes, of course, it kind of ended up being the right person in Botti because he top practice and looked fast and looked consistent. Do you think it's just unpredictable in this?
I think so, because there were a lot of drivers within a second there. Considering the difficulty of this circuit, there were a lot of drivers within a second of pole, and Marius Abdi got pole basically for doing one really good lap. He wasn't, particularly close on any of his other laps. It was one good lap. I think it's an unpredictable qualifying order. I think it's going to be an unpredictable race, and the field could look entirely different even by the end of the first lap, never mind the end of the first race.
Yeah, exactly. I think the most important thing that I would hammer home to everyone for this first race, particularly if you're in the top 10, top 15, survive. That is the big game plan here. Don't go big on the attack. Just keep it out of the barrier.
Yeah, like you've absolutely got to do it, because you look at how many of the cars were hanging around with suspension damage, major suspension damage at the end of the last race. It was really, really bad for a lot of drivers, and so if you can just stay out of that, then you're already beating quite a lot of the field.
Exactly. Well, warm-up is coming to a close, and we are preparing for the first race in the GT3s of the evening here. We've got to wait for all 30 cars to take to the grid before we're going to see that first bit of racing action in these GT3s. Of course, a big reminder that it'll be a long run for them, going through the first corner at Reservoir, going through Mandarin, going on that run down towards Lisboa. They'll pretty much be absolutely pinned from the start of this race, and keeping themselves out of trouble is not going to be easy. I fear for those starting in the mid-pack.
Yeah, I certainly do as well. As I mentioned, it's going to be even trickier around Mandarin, to be honest, on this opening lap. They'll already have reached quite high speed. They'll be struggling to get through there side by side. And then when you get down towards Lisboa, who knows what is going to happen. We got off to a relatively all right start in the FR3s. What are we going to see in GT3? Don't forget, they will have 2 attempts at this as well over the course of the day.
Certainly so. As the Macau Grand Prix, the GT3 side of things here in the RaceRoom ranked event is about to get underway. Lewis McGlade, Ewan O'Leary in the commentary booth. Marius Zabdir starting this one from pole position in that the distinctive black and red Porsche alongside the Falcon one of Sebastian Rake. Perfect launch from him though on that race down to the first corner at Reservoir. Lots of smoke being kicked up as the wheel spins. Ross Stance has gone for a spin, and he is going to end up in the barrier. He's going to get collected here on the race down towards the first and second corner. I think Flug was in there. Bernie Eccleston, no. Henkel as well. Very sketchy. And there's the big one.
Huge crash. Sonchik's involved. Frank Van Roon, Rokas to be as well as Jim Best as well. Getting through. Brandt has got loads of damage. It's absolute carnage. This is a mess.
Look at the amount of yellow flags. I remember doing some WTCR esports and stuff around here. And I've seen that a fair few times. I mean, Melvin Brandt has been able to continue with some serious damage on that car. Whether they'll be able to keep this one inside the top 10 or so, I think that might have to be a swift return to pit lane. Keeping an eye on the positives, though, as that was a bit of a meme in the first corner. A few retirements already picked up on the run down. Let's keep our eye on this. Big move around the outside from Darius Veilgosh, trying to get past Raphael Heinrich as they head their way through the tight and twists of Macau.
That was ambitious on the outside of the left-hander there, and Veilgosh did not manage to pull it off, funnily enough. Jim Best has got a lot of damage here, by the way, and he's being overtaken. Mironov goes through Thomas Gontier as well. You remember from the FR3 race, he's back in. Admittedly, Bernie Eccleston is recovered again. I think he was in that opening crash, as he said, but he didn't get that much damage, quite clearly. I'm surprised by the lack of damage we've seen back here, actually, I've got to say.
Look, to be fair, we've seen Bernie Eccleston avoid a lot of things in his time, and clearly the crash damage there is another thing he's well versed at avoiding. Up to the race lead though, Marius Abdir, Sebastian Ray, of course Manuel Aman up there as well. The top 3 all close together, 1.4 seconds separates them as they head down into the Belgrade. And you can see that Porsche with all that damage going to struggle to get through here, and instead Melvin Brandt keeps his absolutely pins his throttle, slams it into the barrier. And to be fair, I think that's probably the best thing that he could do. Car's already basically broken.
Well, yeah, it's not going to. Well, I was about to say it's not going to get any more broken, but it probably would. But yeah, I see what you mean. I think there has been a stack up, unfortunately, at the hairpin again, though, involving Jim Best, who's really. Oh, there has. Oh no, it's that Sonchik and Eccleston as well, who's stuck. He needs to reverse. He's smashed straight into. Oh no, and they all do get round. Thankfully, Frank Van Roon does as well. That was a car park, and. Not too surprising to finally see that, really. I think Jim Best is struggling to turn that car, to be honest.
Yeah, it's well, the car's not in the best way, is it? But like I say, he'll be returning to pit lane, I'm pretty sure, as will quite a few drivers, just trying to survive through the race. Already in the pit lane, Melvin Brandt, no shot for that. That car is absolutely done for, and certainly needs to get into the repair shop immediately. Maybe, you know, for a lot of those drivers with damaged cars, get into the pit lane, get it repaired as quick as possible, get back out onto the track, and try and hold a solid position for the next race. You can work your way up the order if you're, you know, in the right place at the right time, and pick your way through. I mean, look at Gontier, for example, has basically started from the rear of the field, finds himself inside the top 10, and of course that all-important reverse grid.
Yeah, that will be a reverse grid pole as things stand, so important to kind of keep an eye on these battles further down towards the back end of the top 10. And the same goes here for Jacques Schranko, who we're watching at the moment in 8th place. He's got quite severe damage on that Porsche, as you can see, but he's soldiering on to try and hold on to a top 10, and he might be able to. He's still 7 or 8 seconds ahead, and I know there's still a quarter of an hour to go, but it's hard to overtake, as Gaspar Misch is finding out.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you keep it on the road, sometimes like that's all you need to do. Sure, the car might be a little bit slower in a straight line, but even still, like considering the damage of all the other cars, if you're able to keep the car on the road, you're only losing, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds a lap, which sounds like an awful lot, but around here, you can hold on. Although that said, I will compare his last lap, which of course, you know, single lap of race they've done. Wow, wow. He's missed the apex.
Nice, yeah, I was about to say that, but, well, no, he hit it too hard, in fact.
He didn't miss.
He didn't miss, and that's the unfortunate part. So he's actually not lost a place. Gontier had nowhere to go there, which is helpful. But maybe you should do that when you're winning, to be honest. Just do that, and nobody can pass you anyway. So anyway, he's still in 9th place, and thankfully didn't actually cause a traffic jam because they had quite a few seconds behind them there.
Sorry, I still have that miss joke just locked in my brain from our Suzuka race a little bit earlier on. But to be fair, he did clip it. He seemed to enjoy it. So I'm sure he won't get bored of that being brought up constantly. As Velgosh works his way past Heinrich a little bit behind this, going into Lisboa. So the movement up the order from the German. You also have Stozer as well behind. All involved in this fight. Big run up the hill from the mighty Callaway. No chance to go through coming in to the likes of Maternity Bend. Did not fancy that one. It does really narrow there before you go. It kind of narrows and then it opens up quite a bit and then it narrows really aggressively once again. You've got to be very careful, as now they've got some scary lap traffic to deal with.
Very scary. One of the BMWs getting out of the way. It's Victor Ruiz who's done a very good job there, in fact, of getting out of the way in time of these leaders, the 3 leaders, Zabdir, Rear and Aman, all on the podium at the moment and trailing one another for the race win. That was a slide from Zabdir. Oh, and Sebastian Rear would have gone for it if the track was a bit wider, but he just ran out of room. Yeah,
it's so narrow as they run up the hill there, coming out of the police turn. Now they come down into Donna Maria. Like I say, grips seemingly at a premium around Macau, and you don't have that much room to work with. They head down into the Melco hairpin. Of course, there'll be no attempt of move here. Keep it out wide, hook it into the apex. I've got to say, Marius Zabdir is not looking particularly comfortable at the moment. A bit wide there going through the Melco hairpin, but it seems like he's got the drive off the corner anyway.
I see what you mean, but I also don't see a way in which he's overtaken at the moment. I think Sebastian Rear is finding this very difficult. Through the section, the middle sector, he does seem pretty strong, does Sebastian Rear, but does it really matter if all he's going to do is find himself right behind Zabdir with no way through? I mean, you saw it there. He ran out of room. Oh, he's very close to the wall at the final turn there as well, onto the front straight here. So 13 minutes remaining. He's going to have to keep working away here, but I don't see a way in which he finds a way through at the moment.
I think Bernardo Texeira was having a problem at the Melco hairpin as well. Yellow flag came out once more. Sebastian Reid maybe pushing the car a little bit too hard there. I think you're very close to the wall there, was up there with some of the AWS graphics that we've seen this season, because that wasn't very close to the wall. That was the wall that Sebastian Reid absolutely clouted coming out the final corner. So that brush off just kind of allowed Marius Zabdir to pull out about a second gap, close to 8/10s obviously. But it's now, yeah, when you've got that kind of gap, it's about now for the Polish driver to really nail this middle sector, take a little bit extra risk, And if you can pull out about a second to a second and a bit before you leave the Macau hairpin, this win's basically as good as on.
Yeah, it's about just doing what he's doing for Mario Sabdir at the moment. He's got the advantage. He's done the hard part, which is getting pole position, arguably. And now he just needs to consolidate that, really. And he's doing that even with extending the margin right now. Sebastian Rea can't really get anywhere near at the moment. He was closer on the last couple of laps and was even quite threatening last lap. But this time around, he'll be looking over his shoulder a bit more than he's looking forward right now.
Do you remember, again, the top 10 will be reversed for the next race, which we've only completed, well, not even completed 10 minutes of this one, so I can't imagine what 40 minutes around the streets of Macau is going to be like. And again, there are no required pit stops. So, for those drivers that have already got the one next to their name, that's because they've been into the pit lane, but it's not necessarily because they've ticked off the mandatory stop, because there isn't one. So, there's none of that as a bit more issues. Oh, is this coming up towards maternity?
Yeah, Jerome Tevenon, who's gone off, and that is a extremely second-hand looking Porsche going through shot there as well. Tevenon was a brief low, but Flugger's gone off the road somewhere. I think, although probably was maybe at the opening lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mironov and Gaspar Mish now have been in the wars, and oh, they're going to hit it. Oh no! Well, this is a bigger problem now, because there's three. Oh, this really could be an issue. I don't see how that Porsche is going to get out of this.
Oh, there is the opening for Mironov to go through, and I've got to say, Babash there was just sort of like, right, I'm going through. See ya. Just kept the throttle down and just slammed it into that. It's all very, very messy.
Yeah, and a man has... Oh, yeah, he's hit the wall. A man has hit the wall. I'm not sure where... Is that at the exit of turn 1 or turn 2? I can't tell.
Surely
it's one of the high speeds. It's turn 2, yeah. He's just got it slightly wrong. He wasn't going side by side with anyone, I don't think, unless he was lapping someone. He wasn't going side by side. I think he's just committed too hard to the corner. He's hit the wall clearly very hard.
Yeah, and will retire from the race. That's a big shame. We don't see too many issues going through the first corner. That's not normally where we see the crashes. Did see Alexander Dornadon, I think, in the first season of WTCC Esports, might have been the second, and he was contending for the championship. Basically got taken out on lap 1 at turn 1, and that's like one of the very few crashes that I can actually remember. Really at turn 1. I think he actually kind of did it to himself a little bit, if I remember correctly. After that, you don't really see too much at turn 1. It's normally at run through Mandarin where we just see the absolute carnage of people getting spun off and sent to Narnia. But it is what it is. By the way, I do believe that Gaspar Mish has now retired, in big air quotes, in the race. I think it was a DQ because kind of was in the way blocking the track, and the game just went bye.
Yeah, it was a disqualification for him, and now he's going to start from the back for the second race as well. Inside the top 10 at the moment, we still have Mironov, the only of the BMWs inside the top 10, so he'll be on reverse grid pole as it stands, but there's quite a few drivers who would desperately like to take that off him at the moment. And still Shranko is holding on to an 8th place at the moment, somewhat remarkably, with his rear wing looking like that.
It's all about survival right now. It is all about keeping it on the track's less the problem. They can keep it on the track fine. It's keeping it out of the track. That's what the goal is here. As you can see, Ruiz there with a car which actually looks fine. So clearly that has been into the pit lane for some substantial repairs, which I think is probably the right option to have come into the pit lane, got the car repaired, got back out, as we can see what will now become the battle for 10th position and the battle for the race lead. Sebastian Reyes closed right back up on Mario Sabdir.
Well, not a good enough run out of Mandarin, but he was very close into Lisboa there, and unfortunately can't quite get the cutback he needed for maybe a run at turn 4. Not that is very likely to happen anyway. He might try and use some of this lap traffic up in front. That could prove to be a problem for Mario Sabdir, who's led the entirety of this race so far. Now he could come unstuck with a slower driver in front of him.
Yeah, like you say, I think that's Jim Best that's just slightly in the way on the brakes over on the right-hand side of the circuit, just allowing Mariusz Zabdir and Sebastian Rey to work their way past. They're 3 seconds clear of Dariusz Velgosh, so it really is just a two-horse race. Bit of the wall being hit there from Mariusz Zabdir. It's opened the opportunity here for Sebastian Rey to try something brave. That's so close. They're so tight. There's not enough room around the outside there.
Not quite enough room. It would have been extremely impressive for him to go around the outside because it would have given him the inside at the next turn, but it didn't happen in the end, and Rear just runs out of room. Unfortunately, I think the problem that he's continually having is that he's faster on this section of the racetrack through the middle sector, but there's just no chance to go through, as we've just seen.
Like I say, the opportunity is there for Sebastian Rey to work his way through. To be fair, like I say, anytime you want to take a victory, around the streets of Macau, you've got to go for it. And starting, these drivers will be starting 9th and 10th in the next race. That is right in the danger zone. So to be perfectly honest, I think they're well aware that they could be 6.5 minutes away from ending this race, and probably, it might be their last lap around Macau for the evening, because they might not survive down into Lisboa in the next one.
No, maybe not. So you've got to just take the opportunity in front of you. Just do what you can and try and win this one from here. I do wonder how far these guys are going to be able to get up the order in race 2, I've got to say. Interesting to find out, but of course we're not too far away from finding out. But wonder if this is going to be the last chance these guys get to for a race win. Sebastian Rey closes in the slipstream. This run through Mandarin needs to be good, and it was good.
Yeah, it's looking pretty quick for the German. Coming down into the third corner, Thomas Gontier's had a bit of a problem as they head their way. That'll probably be down at the Melco hairpin, about 30 seconds back from here. Mariusz Zabdir, though, fantastically able to hang on for the race lead. Sebastian Rey still not able to find his way through. Stows has now had the problem.
Yeah, that's from 5th place. That should be at Lisboa. I think he's probably just broken too late. And Ribelot's going to go through. Oh, he has broken too late. He's gone straight on entirely, I think. And has to wait to rejoin again. Waits till it's safe and does get on with it again. Just broke a bit too late. I think instead of clattering into the wall, just probably went down the escape road, went straight on instead.
Yeah, easily done, certainly. So once again, super close back up for the race lead. These two showing the absolute class of the field. And like I say, I'm with you. I'm very curious to see how these two are going to work their way back up the order in the next race, and what opportunities are going to be afforded of them. There'll be a couple of laps for them left to go after this one, so not too long. Just a 9-lap race around the streets of Macau. To be fair, I will say I was going to count out Velgosh, but he's not actually that far back.
No, not at all. Because of the fact that Rear and Zabdir are just focusing on each other, staring each other into the abyss. They're going to have Velgosh with them very quickly here, and possibly very soon. I do think he's going to run out of laps, to be fair, and this situation with 4 minutes to go, to overtake 2 drivers is going to be difficult, because Sebastian Rey has had all race to overtake 1 so far, and he's still not managed it. So I'd be very surprised if Velgosh can.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's kind of the whole thing with with passing around here. You get like one big opportunity, which is the run down into Lisboa, and outside of that, you don't actually have another option. And I get the feeling that Sebastian Rey, I mean, even though you don't get to do too much, GT3-wise, setup-wise, when it comes to like downforce and increasing stroke speed, there's still a couple of bits you could do here and there. And that's kind of maybe the methodology that Mariusz Zabdir has gone for. You can see the run here. It is slightly better from Sebastian Rey. So Mariusz Zabdir will take the defensive line into Lisboa, taking a very awkward line. It's very narrow into there from that angle, moves back out into the basically the second to left lane, open the door as they come up towards San Francisco.
I don't know. It is the penultimate lap. I would be tempted to say Rear maybe should have gone for that, but it's really not Sebastian Rear's style of driving, to be honest, to make a rash move like that down the inside at turn 4. He waits for another day. He does often get very close on the way to Maternity Bend. Maybe that's an avenue he'll have to explore on the final lap, but he's running out of chances now. Only 1 lap to go at the end of this one. Zabdir beginning to make a couple of mistakes, brushing the wall here and there. Rear's getting closer and adding more pressure, which is clearly getting to the Polish driver a little bit.
Yeah, like I say, it is building. A little bit of a clip of the wall there as well for Sebastian Rey. I mean, you've got to be said, these two are not leaving very much on the table, which is excellent and very exciting from our point of view. Probably a little bit nervy within the behind the wheels of their Porsches. Yellow flag comes out for Victor Ruiz and that BMW M4 that's a lap down at the moment, still trying to reach the checkered flag. Of course, for them, it's hanging on to track position for the next race, the position they'll be starting in the next race. For those inside the top 10, it will be the reverse. So Mironov at the moment in his BMW M4 will be starting from the reverse grid pole, but who's going to be starting from 9th and 10th? A little bit of a clip on the rear end from Sebastian Rey there.
Yeah, that could have eased. I feared that Zabdir was going to end up stuck and right behind him also stuck. Thankfully not, because they both managed to just have the turning circle to get out of that, but that could have been disastrous. One last lap to go at the end of this one. Rea will surely have to throw everything at it, but I'm not sure how willing he is to put it all on the line.
Like, to be fair, I think there's the space for a lot of risk here, but at least when you've got drivers of this quality. But it's whether the circuit is very compliant on that, and let's be honest, the circuit don't move. Final lap of the race then around Macau. Marius Zabdir, Sebastian Rey battling for the race lead, 3/10 of a second. The gap for the lead, the advantage that the Polish driver currently hangs on to, but look how quickly that gap is disappearing. They head through Mandarin and out on the run down towards Lisboa. The run is as good as it has ever been. Looking down the inside, Sebastian Rey's going to try and stick it as they head down to Lisboa. Moves back over to the outside, commits in. That's probably going to be too deep though. Is it going to be? There's contact between the pair of them as they head their way down towards San Francisco. It's fantastic driving between the two. A bit of a squeeze there from Marius Zabdir.
Yeah, forceful, and in the end, Rea didn't have anywhere to go. He was sandwiched between Zabdir and the barriers, and now there's a car in the way as well, and they both skip around. That probably stopped Sebastian Rea going down the inside there.
It's so tight, nervous, and a bit sketchy in all of this, and now you're kind of thinking, right, when is the opportunity for Sebastian Rey to go through from now? Really think about it, because there isn't many. You've got, you've obviously got that. Oh, go for it.
Sorry, he just clipped the wall there to Zabdir. Look at how close Rea is now. On the entry to one of those turns, he just got in a bit too early to Zabdir. And now Rea is very, very close. On the run back up the hill again towards the final parts of the lap. He's running out of time now, Sebastian Rea.
Yeah, here's one of the looks, but it's so tight through here. I was going to say Donna Maria, but it tightens up too much the exit. You can't make a move down to the Malco hairpin. So it comes down to the final two corners, Fisherman's and then the final turn. Is there an opportunity into either of them? Well, for that to be the case, you must nail the hairpin. Let's see what it's going to be between the pair of them. Marius Zabdir holding a decent line, good drive off the corner. We've seen him be able to pull that one off, and it looks good for the pole.
Does look very good now. He's got a great run off the hairpin. He just can't do anything when the car behind there, the concertina effect is just too strong, and unless he gets it disastrously wrong, Marius Zabdir through the final corner should be able to hang on now.
Yeah, it's looking tidy. Marius Zabdir has soaked up the pressure in the first race here in the GT3's. Bit of a look to the inside there from Sebastian Rey. We almost got a bit too premature with that one, but it is going to be victory for Marius Zabdir. Superb performance from him. Sebastian Rey alongside, separated by half a second as they cross the line. Dariusz Vailgosh will cross the line as well to round out the podium in the first race of the evening here in the GT3's. But what a performance from Zabdir and Rey.
Yeah, fantastic driving, fantastic show they put on throughout the first race of the GT3s. Absolutely wonderful to watch, but in the end, Sebastian Rey couldn't find his way through. There were a couple of chances where Zabdir just scraped the wall, notably on that last lap as well, but it's just too narrow over the top there, just too narrow through the middle sector.
Yeah, exactly. Just a bit awkward, but to be fair, you got to say Marius Zabdir didn't make a mistake when he was really put up against it. You know, that run down towards Lisboa for the final time, places like that, just did not bow to the pressure. So very impressive. But for the next race, they'll be starting, from 10th place for Marius Zabdir, from 9th place from Sebastian Rey. And again, take a note of the top 10 here, because those are the drivers that are going to reverse for the next race. 40 minutes to be put onto the clock as we'll see Pabash come across the line and will be a reverse grid pole sitter for the second race.
I'm very excited for this second race, I've got to say, because we've seen how difficult it is to overtake. If you can get to the front and you can be consistent and just park your car in the right places, then you can win from the front, even if you're not the fastest driver in the field. And clearly, even though he's just finished over a minute back, Papas has got a good chance of holding on to this lead for quite some time in this second race.
Yeah, so take a note. These 10 drivers will reverse. So Papash will start from the reverse grid pole position. Marchena will start from second, then Saranko, Gontier. Keep an eye on him, by the way, from the back of the field to 7th in this race, and potentially a chance for a victory starting the next one from 4th. Stozer, Rebello, Heinrich, Veilgosh, Ray, and Zabdir. They'll start in that order for the next one, and then everyone else behind, they remain in their positions. Bernardo Texera, Alexandra Marchinski, Bernie Eccleston, represent. Flug, Tevenon, Best as well, Van Roon, Ruiz, Melvin Brandt, one of those drivers, to be fair. Anyone that's really going to lap down in this, they were the ones that really got involved in that first lap crash. Restance as well was actually taken out even before that. It was the first turn for him. Do you reckon we're going to see the same kind of crash in this race? I certainly wouldn't rule it out.
No, I wouldn't rule it out either, but I would hope, what I'm going to hope is that they will have learned from the first race that you need to be a bit more careful in that opening sequence for those opening couple of corners, and hopefully we get a few more cars out of the opening lap without damage, because it was a complete catastrophe on the opening lap last time around. Hopefully it's a bit better second time around.
Yeah, certainly. So, like I say, just keep it out of trouble. That's the main thing for these drivers on that first lap. Although, to be fair, when you're coming into it at 240 kilometers an hour, and the trouble is already there, yeah, there's not really much you can do. You get on the brakes, someone's getting into the rear of you. It's all very sketchy. It's all very difficult. But for Mariusz Zabdir, for Sebastian Ray, the two drivers that we know, that we've seen really are the fastest drivers around here. Got to be said though, Mariusz Stozer was actually pretty much on a fairly similar sort of pace, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of these guys have actually got decent pace in terms of, and they're quite on a similar level at the top of the field, but it's very much about where you find yourself around here. First of all, finding yourself in that accident is a bit of a problem, and second of all, finding yourself on the grid as well. If you find yourself a long way back, you can get yourself caught behind people, and you find yourself a long way back very quickly. So yeah, it's a quite close field at the top, but it's a matter of how can you get through this opening section. And that's why I think that, you know, the guys who were just fighting over the win there, Zabdir and Rear, are they going to be anywhere near the win here, even in the double the length race? I'm not even that sure.
Yep, because the most important thing is survival. Like I was saying in that race, they could well have looked at their final lap around Macau for the evening, mostly courtesy of some big drama which could be afoot. We're seconds away now from them taking to the grid and the 30 cars setting off once more for the run down into that first corner, into Mandarin where the drama was, and then into Lisboa where things start to narrow up. Who can take victory here? Who can take top honours in the first race here in or the first event that we've done here at the Macau Grand Prix? We've really enjoyed the FR3s. We've enjoyed the GT3s for their first race, and now we get to do it all over again, but this time for 40 minutes. Papesh will be starting from pole position, Marchena alongside, and let's see how long until the drama breaks out. Great start from Saranko, who'll be straight around the outside to take the lead in the first corner. Unbelievable from the Porsche as Sebastian Ray brushes the barrier, and it's the only fans car of Sonchik around at the first corner, who certainly won't be a fan of that one.
No, it unfortunately caught up in the lap one incident both times around. Into the wall through Mandarin, they all go. And Jim Best again as well. He's been caught up in the lap one incident twice in a row now as well, as the two Porsches of Schranko and Gautier go for it into turn 3. And they all make it out the other side with Schranko leading the race.
Look at Mariusz Zabdir up to 6th position. I also think that he was one of the ones that clouted the wall pretty heavily going through Mandarin. So potentially there could be some issues for the Polish driver as we look at Gontier. Crash ahead though, Saranko and Marchena. How did they keep pointed in the right direction? I will never know. Just as they head towards maternity. Honestly, I'm speechless about that one.
Unbelievable driving as well with Jim Rebelo and Rear as well, fighting over 8th place. Oh, it's gone wrong. Rebelo just comes across on Sebastian Rear, who was alongside, and the Portuguese driver finds himself backwards and in the wall. He's going to spend a long time pointing himself back in the right direction again. Unfortunately, I don't think Sebastian Rear really has a case to answer for there. I think he was alongside and he got closed down.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, what a send from Darius Vailgosh, straight down the inside of Papesh, open the door for Marius Abdir. Gontier slow off the corner as well. Wow, this is really being turned up to 11 as Vailgosh is going to try and send it around the outside of Donna Maria. That one's not going to work. They'll have to go single file before they get down to the Melco hairpin.
It was Gontier who was going around the outside and Vilgosh has got through. Oh no, Marchena has gone very wide. He's okay, thank God for that. Oh no, and into the wall. One of the Callaways is into the wall and we're all stuck now. I think it's Stozer, isn't it, who was getting into the wall there, and thankfully, well, one of the BMWs just takes advantage, fair enough.
No.
But the traffic jam, oh no, not fair enough because it's caused a big mess.
Oh, as soon as you said fair enough, I was like, there's no way they're getting through there. And this is absolute carnage. It's Meme City. Get your captions out, ladies and gents, and let's start posting this on social media. I don't even know where to begin with that. So easy to have made that mistake, but one or two people got a little bit too greedy there.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's caused a huge problem. Sonchik still just sat there waiting. He's still waiting.
Classic.
They're still stuck.
Love this.
They're not. I think the leaders could be in trouble very soon. No, we are going to get clear before the leaders get there, thankfully. But what a mess back there, unfortunately, for those guys. It shows why there's a yellow flag down there. That's too late on the brakes. Vilgosh has got it wrong, and the other man-type Porsche goes into him. Gontier gets involved.
Yeah, that was classic. That's why you shouldn't have two liveries near each other on the circuit, because it confuses us commentators. Clearly, it confuses the drivers as well. Gontier straight into the back of that, out of nowhere for him to have gone, and it was obvious from a mile away. The Vailgosh was never making that corner, as Sebastian Reyna has to deal about the pressure of Papesh trying to get down the inside, going through maternity.
Great racing, and Sebastian Rear has now got through. So it could be between Zabdir and Rear for the race win, I've got to be honest, but it just matters really now how quickly can Zabdir get past Shranko and Marchena, because those two leaders, 1 and 2, can't keep up with Zabdir and Rear when it all shakes out, I don't think. But how quickly are the two of them going to find their way through and back to the front again? Can Rear catch up to Zabdir, and are we going to see a very similar situation to what we had towards the end of race 1? I sort of feel that we might do.
Yeah, like I say, it depends if Zabdir can get through and can clear the pair of these to as quick as possible, gets there and goes, then I think Zabdir's got this, and it's clear. You know, he'll be winning. If he doesn't clear them immediately, Sebastian Rey's now got the chance to close up, and that's where the race gets really opened up. Well, just the most important thing, though, again, still for this grouping, is just surviving, which is easier said than done around here at the moment. Shranko's doing a great job. In the background, though, it's not Gontier who's doing a great job. Gontier's now gone round into... How on earth has that happened there?
I've got no idea. Because he's crashed and he's not held anyone else up, so it can't have been at the hairpin. It was clearly somewhere else. As Marchena goes round the outside of the final corner, that's not going to happen. And Zabdir goes through into second place. He might well be leading by Lisboa.
Yeah, into the slipstream now with his fellow Porsche. Saranko's hanging on to the race lead. A little bit of lap traffic as well to help them out when it comes to slipstreaming. That'll be Bledsoe who will be there right in the middle of all of this, straight around the outside as they go through Mandarin. That's so close, bit of contact between the pair of them. Marius Zabdir has sent it, has committed, picks up the slipstream, works their way through, and now the silliness begins in the battle for second position. But Marius Zabdir trying to sweep the Macau Grand Prix, and straight on goes Marchena.
Oh, and slowing down there, one of the McLaren straight in front of Sebastian Rear, who was on the case and trying to get involved there as well. So Marius Zabdir now leads. Is he going to run away with this race win as well? But how about the battle between Shranko and Marchena there, by the way, on the way towards Lisboa? The Callaway Corvette tried to stick itself down the inside. I think there was room, but Shranko was having absolutely none of it.
I think Marius Zabdir is gone. He is out of here. He fancies taking a clean sweep on the streets of Macau. We were questioning, starting from 10th position, whether you're going to be able to work your way up the order. Well, it's taken him a whopping 6 minutes, if that, to take the race lead. Unbelievable performance from the Polish driver, but too many drivers fighting over the tiniest space possible as things are building up here in the back end of, or just outside rather than the top 10.
Unbelievable car control from from one of the Porsches there with the dinosaur teeth on the front. Rostons makes his way through in the Ferrari, and here goes Frank van Room. That's not going to happen. We saw a great time from Vilgosh earlier, by the way, on the way in towards that turn, but not this time. Oh, and the Porsche again finds itself in the wall. Frank van Room will now get through along with Flug as well. Yeah,
Marcinski there into the barrier, trying to do a very good job of hanging on in that very fetching Porsche. Do you prefer this to the Manthey Porsche?
No, nowhere near.
Okay, sorry. Is the Manthey Porsche genuinely like your favourite livery? Oh, that's terrible.
On a Porsche, probably. Yeah, on that Porsche anyway. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, fair. No, it's fine. It's all right. I'll allow it. It's bright yellow, so I'll definitely allow it. You know me.
The bright green one's slightly better, but they're both quite nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's too much yellow on. But it's fine. We won't talk about it. Look, it's not your thumbnail. Your picture anymore. As the battle for third continues, Sebastian Ray trying to at least get 2 second places onto the board, and he needs to start by getting himself onto the podium. That car is not quick in a straight line, though, is it?
Well, I think it partly down to the fact that Marchena was getting the assistance of Slipstream from Schranko there, and he's getting even more now on the way towards Lisboa. Is there going to be a chance here? No. He's not late enough on the brakes. He was too late on the brakes, that's that, and I think that was probably in his mind as they made their way down there. So Rear's going to have to wait, and the gap to Marius Zabdir grows ever more. I actually think Rear's a bit quicker than Zabdir, but he can't close this kind of margin, I think, already, and it's only going to grow now over the course of this lap with Schranko leading the group.
Yeah, unless there's drama, a bit of lap traffic. Yeah, I don't see. I think like Sebastian Ray definitely got the pace to get into second place, as we see Texer. Having a problem at turn at Lisboa. Have already seen, by the way, Rokas the Beach just had a problem. Marcinski's also had a problem, so they've all dropped right the way down the order. Marcinski's back into the pit lane, courtesy of it to try and repair some of the damage of the earlier portion of this race. And this battle, meanwhile, for second place is on. You can see the drivers that are in pit lane. You can see the drivers that have gone into pit lane and returned. Bernie Eccleston and Best, they are back out on the circuit after having a little bit of an entry into pit lane.
Unbelievably close with one of the lap cars there in this battle for second place as well, as Schranko still leads the way of the three of them. Anyway, Marchena just behind, then Sebastian Rear, who you might be right, might be struggling in terms of straight line speed, and that's why he's not had so much luck in terms of overtaking so far in this race. Now down in towards the hairpin. Not sure why Schranko took a slightly defensive line there, because he can't overtake. He says that as Marchena gets alongside. Not even sure that was really intentional, but they somehow made it work.
That was almost very silly, but thankfully they didn't send them off, so it's not that silly. How is Gontier not even that far behind, considering in that section we did see him absolutely bin it in ways that I don't fully understand? Like, I genuinely, when Gontier had that crash, I saw the car sideways in the background, but I didn't want to say there's a car sideways in the background because I thought that's stupid because there's no one that's going to have spun there. And yet, there was.
Yeah, he's benefiting from this battle, clearly, because he's now only a couple of seconds back. Sebastian Ray could have gone for it there. He clearly didn't want to go side by side around Mandarin, and fair enough, I suppose. But you need a good run round this turn. He hasn't got one. Marchena's got a worse one. He's grabbed the wall, but Schranko's going to hold on again here, I think. Sebastian Ray can't make this move stick on this occasion. Could have done with going for that at turn 2, really, but I suppose he just wants to make absolutely sure this overtake's done correctly rather than do anything rash.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, things are very close in this battle for second, but they've now allowed Marius Zabdir nearly a 10-second margin. He started from 10th position, we'll remind you, and he's already to 9 seconds in only a handful of laps. There's a look to the inside going into paternity contact between Sebastian Ray and Saranko. Ray has now worked his way through to second position. I think the gap will stop growing at quite the speed that it was now that Sebastian Ray's worked his way into second position finally, and we'll now look backwards to see what Saranko could do to hang on from Marchena and, of course, Gontier as well. Yeah,
it's going to be even more difficult now for everybody because we've got another car joining in with the party, although I imagine Sebastian Ray will be leaving as soon as Gontier arrives. Almost as if he's seen someone who he doesn't really like. He's just leaving. Marchena goes wide, and Gontier certainly is going to get involved. Down the inside he goes, and they've made that work quite cleanly, actually, and the Frenchman's up to 4th place.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll see what Gontier could do to work his way past and all this, because we know he's been pretty quick. Although I will say, when it comes to drama, we've seen Gontier in a fair amount of drama throughout the evening spoons in the... oh, never mind. Well, there we go. There's a little bit to add to it, because Soranko's gone straight into the barrier. It's actually cost Gontier a position, and Marchena's worked his way back through in a third.
Yeah, it's a bizarre battle, it's got to be said, in some ways, and we're only seeing more drivers catch on from behind. Look at the likes of Papes, Heinrich, Stozer, Rostens, Frank van Roon is there as well, all within 20 seconds of the lead, and that's the top 10. All of those cars behind, they're not lap cars for the most part, they are racing for these positions. This is going to be an interesting fight, if not, even if it's not going to involve the very race lead, as we see Rossell off at the hairpin, I feel like, for the second time in only a matter of laps.
Yeah, indeed. I think, like I say, this circuit's starting to bite quite a few. I didn't realise, by the way, we've got 4 DQs. Bledsoe, Mironov, Rebello and Melvin Bryant. I think that's like when they've spun round to the hairpin, they've tried getting back going, but you have to kind of drive backwards up the circuit to flick spin, and the game's like, absolutely not, Chief. So that's where we've seen a few of those. Rokas to be, but there's issues. 2 retirements with Ruiz and Vale. Gosh, everyone else still out on the circuit, so at least we still have a slightly higher percentage of driver in the race than we did when it came to retirement in the previous run. I'm surprised, by the way, that Marius Abde's still been able to pull out an extra second over Sebastian Ray, but I think now things might settle in that gap, but I don't think it's going to come down anything significant.
No, I don't think so, and fortunately, it looks like the battle for that race win is already settled. Marius Abda and Sebastian Rea in the same positions they were in race 1, albeit good 10 seconds further apart than what they were at the end of the opening race. So this is where our interest is going to be. Can Marchena hang on to... first of all, can Marchena hang on to a podium? In which case, that will be very impressive. If not, who is it going to be? Because there are about 8 other candidates at the moment.
Yeah, like I say, it's kind of it's one of those that it's more open than it almost like immediately feels. Although never mind, we'll take Pat out of that mix. Bye-bye. If he goes for a spin, and might need to call the police to give him a bit of an assistance to spin him back round again. But actually, it turns out that he's not a fan of the stink, and so sends it back round himself.
Flug there needs to be careful. He respected the yellow flags very well, did the German, I've got to say, and so hangs on to the place. And who on earth is that? Oh dear, well, that's a lap car who's gone straight into Papert and has made his day even more difficult. So what was Bernie Eccleston doing there? I'm not entirely sure. Old age catching up with him, clearly. Yeah,
indeed, and the law as well. So at least there is that, as Bernie Eccleston will drop back down the order, of course, and into the clutches of Rokas to be. That car is looking very second-hand, must be said. Yellow flag comes out. Oh, and another retire. I didn't even see who that was. That came up so quick.
I'm trying to see who's missing from the run inside the top 10. There is someone missing, isn't there?
Victor Ruiz, I think it might have been.
Okay.
Ruiz already retired from the race.
Papers? No, was it?
Yeah,
Papers?
it must have been. It must be Papers. Yeah.
Yeah, he obviously got damage from spinning out of that top 10 position, and obviously will not recover from that. 2 Corvettes fighting in towards Lisboa. Stozer and Heinrich and Stozer, I should say. Stozer not able to make his way through. Rosters made a good recovery here in this race. Of course, it was a crash at turn 1 in race 1 for him, and he's recovered from that very well in race 2.
Indeed, absolutely. Like I say, they've been through a lot in this race, and they continue to do so as we see this going through Maternity Bend again. A couple of these Callaways, like you said, involved in this fight. Back end of the top 10, and I've got to say I do like myself a little bit of Macau, but some of the racing this has been, some of it's been very, very good. Other bits of it have been a bit questionable. But I think we've had our fair share of fun. Unfortunately, it's more just disappointing that Marius Abda and Sebastian Rea were separate as they were, because they've got a fantastic show in the first race.
Yeah, that's probably the battle of the day, really, when you look back at it over all 3 races, I would say. Even though there wasn't actually any overtaking at all between them, it shows you don't even really need it. You just need that tension there, that the high level, that the close to the wall sort of racing that we got. It was fantastic to watch between the 2 of them. But yeah, it's fair to say that this has been entertaining. There's no doubt about that. I don't think you can argue against that. And we're going to have a lot more of that over the course of the next what, 24 minutes just under at the moment, as Stranko leads this train for 5th place, allowing Marchena and Gontier to get away slightly in 3rd and 4th.
Oh yeah, we're not done with drama. We're not done with action. That is for sure. Yes, it may be fairly settled up in the top 2 positions, but everything else is very much open to be settled. We've still got that final step on the podium to really fight for, and that is also suggesting the idea that Marius Abdir and Sebastian Ray don't make a mistake in the final half of this race, where things can get a little bit sketchy. You know, tyres can be over the limit. Also, cars going a lap down and being in slightly awkward places, getting you offline. You never really know how this race is going to end. And do remember, as I see Roselle is going for a bit of a spin. Who was it who won on the roof? On their roof?
Lawrence Vantor.
Lawrence Vantor, thank you. Yeah, well, I was like really struggling there. I was like trying to think of, yeah, you never know what's going to happen around here. You can even win on your roof.
Yeah, well,
great moment.
It's not going to happen in RaceRoom, but partly because he won because of a red flag, not because he can't end up on your roof. But yes, that did happen. And look it up if you haven't, if you don't know what we're on about. You'll find it quite easily. Anyway, let's see what can happen, because you're right, anything can happen. Who knows? None of these 4 might not finish inside the top 10 here, and if they go like that, then maybe not. What a dive that was from Stozer. It's not going to happen though. It's not going to result in a position.
Not yet. Stozer looking pretty quick, and like I was saying, when I was talking about some of the faster lap times coming in from the previous session, Stozer was actually up there with being, you know, one of the faster drivers on the grid. Was actually, when it came to laps, was up there with the likes of Marius Abdir and Sebastian Ray. So certainly has some pace in the tank, does Stozer, and I think we might see potential moves coming. A bit of sparks being kicked up there, though, from Frank Van Roon in his Gatterchain Ballast Sports, the black and red distinctive livery on that Porsche, called the same livery that Marius Abdir is all pretty well. Love it when they do. I get it, because obviously, you know, fair enough. But do you know what? I really quite like seeing Turka Hakkinen and Christian McConnell. Like for NeedRacing.com, they all pick the same livery, and just kind of like, that's almost their team livery now. I like that.
I don't know. I like the free for all that you just get sometimes.
Oh yeah, I like the fact that
in this race we've got liveries that, you know, that would look. They fit in IMSA. They fit. I've seen 24H series liveries. I've seen what else have I seen? The Manto one looks like it could go on the 24 hours of Nürburgring, whatever. It's a great mix. Really great mix of different liveries.
Yeah, no, I do like the fact that we do have a large mix now. It's kind of one of the things, like, as the GT3 field has grown, as there have been more and more added to race. We've got more and more to pick from, and of course, like I say, British GT liveries as well. OnlyFans, shout out. As we'll take a look to see if Martina can hang on to the podium. They head their way through the second turn at Mandarin on the race, down towards Lisboa once more. Gontier's trying to fill those mirrors. It's going to send it in. Surely that's too deep. Surely that's a barrier visit. No, it is not. Good on the brakes. It's actually a barrier visit from Marchena.
It was too late for Marchena. Gontier had the foresight there of a magician, and he managed to get the cutback on the exit of turn 3 and get into 3rd place. Now can Marchena come back at him? No, he was looking for space that really wasn't there. He's ended up in the wall slightly, and he won't be able to find his way back through for the moment. So great overtake from Gontier, really fantastic, and he's onto the podium now. Can he run away from those who are likely faster behind him before they get the chance to catch him?
Bit of a snap of oversteer as well from Marchena. I thought was going to send one down the inside at maternity, but the snap of oversteer slightly backed him out of it. So good effort there from Gontier. Honestly, brilliant move. So well read and played Marchena like an absolute fiddle. Brilliant driving as we look back in the middle of this grouping. Van Roon, you've got Rostance, you've got Stozer, you've got Heinrich, Stranko as well. And they're right on the rear end of that podium battle we were kind of talking about as they head their way through police and up the hill, going through the crest. Thankfully, we've not seen anyone spin at that corner. Now I've said it. Off we go, lads.
Well, we did see Bernie Eccleston hit.
Sorry, yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry, you're absolutely right.
That wasn't really his fault, though. so I'm not quite willing to count that. But I see what you mean. Yeah, we'll hope that stays true now that we've said that, because we know what commentator's curse is like.
It doesn't exist.
If you believe in it, but
it doesn't
but
exist.
Anyway, we might be about to have more evidence for the case that it does. We'll see. But yes, still no positions bizarrely changed here. Still nobody's passed Franco somehow.
Do you believe in the commentators, guys?
I'm not really bothered. Not really, no.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, if you weren't, I would say if Marius Abdir and Sebastian Ray finished first and second, considering I said like half an hour ago, or it's half an hour, it was half an hour before the end of the race, 10 minutes ago, that they were going to finish in that position, and that was pretty set, and it was all battle for third. I think then you would have to take it back if they do finish first and second. But if you don't believe in it, fair enough. I want everyone to also go by that in chat as well. If Marius Abdir and Sebastian Ray finish first and second, we all have to drop the commentator's curse thing in the bin. And if there is an incident, I still won't believe. So it's fine. Either way, Heinrich is defending from Stozer coming down into Lisboa. And once again, this battle is continuing as we begin our rise up San Francisco Hill again.
It's continuing not to change positions as well for any of these drivers. And that's somewhat remarkable considering how close they've been. We've even seen a bit of side-by-side, but no changes. We have seen quite a lot of change in the race, though. That's quite remarkable statistics on the left-hand side there.
Yeah, obviously the reverse grid. You know, when you look at Marius Abdir going +9 in this race after having started from the 10th position, winning in the previous one, and working his way back up the order. Sebastian Ray in all of that as well. Gaspar Misch working his way up the order bit by bit, nearly inside the top 10 as well after a retirement in the previous race, and having to start from the back and having to deal with all of our Misch puns. We didn't miss the mark on those though.
No. He enjoys it apparently, so
silence from you.
Well, yeah,
I felt the disappointment.
I just had to breathe in before speaking. Oh no! Rostant's off and Frank Van Roon as well. Not sure how that's happened. I think Frank Van Roon has stuck his nose down the inside and he's got into trouble for it. Although I think Rostant's may have been disqualified now.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. First time I just saw it at the top of shot. Van Roon looked down the inside going into Donna Maria, and Rostant's spun around, probably bashed the wall a few too many times. Again, maybe it counted as him going a little bit backwards on circuit, and bam, Rostant's out of the race, and through no real fault of his own. Big shame, and that is the 6th disqualification that we've had in this race. Banter.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to spin around at this circuit and get back going again before you get disqualified. And I bet that Frank Van Roon feels very bad about that now, because he clearly didn't really mean to do that, and he was going to give the place back instead of trying to just accelerate straight through Rostant's and overtake him. He was going to wait for him to get set back straight again and get back in the race, but he obviously can't anymore, and he probably feels quite bad about that now.
Yeah, like I say, when you spin someone round and then you force them to retire, it's a little bit like oof. When you force them to DQ, it's different level. As Heinrich looks down the inside of Soranko, that was so close going into Lisboa, and now the couple of Callaways. Still, they don't switch positions, but they are looming large at the background as we head into the final quarter of an hour of this race.
Yeah, not long to go now. That was a flying entry from Heinrich and a flying into the back of Soranko as we saw from the onboard shot. Thankfully, Hungarian was going slow enough that it didn't actually send him wide of the corner really anyway, but that was a lot of speed. Maybe Heinrich can use that to his advantage if he decides to go for a move there.
So there's got to be a move on the cards at some point, but it does seem as though Soranko's got some decent straight on speed, or at least is nailing Mandarin. Which is the important bit, but then seems to struggle a little bit, mainly for confidence through this sector. This is where the door might be opened for a move from Heinrich, but you've got to be so brave to do it in this section. It's so narrow. Not only is it narrow, because you're going left, right, constantly. That narrowness is almost like doubled. There's like there is definitely no opportunity for you to send one down the inside. Could you imagine a multi-class race round it?
That'd be hilarious. You can do that on RaceRoom, by the way, if you want to.
You can, yeah.
It's single player. Have a go.
Do you think we should?
Why not? I think maybe I did in single player once, but I don't remember how it went. I'd imagine not well. But I can't remember, honestly. So anyway, that's I'll have to try that again soon. But yeah, you're right. I just see what you mean with it. The narrowness sort of being doubled. With that situation there, and yeah, the door is being opened, sort of half open by Soranko now and again, but it's almost like the door it has an opportunity to be opened, but there's also a bookcase behind it, in which case it's become very difficult to open and very difficult to move. And Soranko has been that rock solid figure in 5th place now for quite some time. So, you know, it's held these guys off for a good 25 minutes now. And he's still got the 2 Germans in the Corvettes behind with no way of getting through. And they're battling amongst themselves now.
Oh, for I see again from when you're looking down there with it all like zoomed in and stuff, and you don't really get like the sense of depth. It did genuinely look like there were 3 wide going into Mandarin there. I genuinely nearly had to go to the toilet. I was so scared. But that was a big moment there as Heinrich's going to send it straight around the outside. That's a brilliant move too defensive from Soranko. Stozer was not able to bite that one off and join his fellow Callaway on the march up the order.
No, not quite. But really nice move from Heinrich there. He's been late on the brakes. He's been confident. And Soranko had nothing in reply. Absolutely nothing. Could have been more aggressive, really, to be honest, since he had the inside line of the corner. He could have broken a bit later. He could have squeezed a bit more, challenged Heinrich a bit more. But no, Soranko falls in behind. And now that he's got someone to follow, it does seem that he's picked up the pace ever so slightly through the middle sector.
Yeah, I mean we'll wait and see. Like I say, there is the whole thing of like as soon as you get that clean bit of road up ahead, sometimes you can set things down. Sometimes when you've got that target ahead of you, though, it kind of gives you that thing of like now you've got the pressure removed from your shoulders, you can actually kind of fire it in a little bit faster. So it's kind of it ebbs and flows as to who's quicker. Once everything settles out, that's when we'll get the real picture as to who's actually faster in the middle sector. As a couple of mistakes as they once again go over the crest at Moorish. Now into Donna Maria. Now it seems like Heinrich's settling himself, although that is going to be delayed slightly because they're about to come across all this.
And who's involved here? It's the leaders, isn't it? And Gontier surely has been slowed up, and he was. Marchena as well. So it's all back on again for 3rd place. I was literally about to say that Gontier was away and he's probably going to finish on the podium now, but it's not so confirmed anymore.
Like I say, there was just that mistake from some of the backmarkers. This is what we're saying about like backmarkers can inadvertently get involved in your race. That's exactly what we saw a bit there. It was Russell who's now a disqualification from the race. Another one to chuck onto the big old list of retired or disqualified cars. That was the driver that was stationary there at the final corner in the Valentino Rossi 46 livery that we've raced as well to great effect. So yeah, at least there's that. I don't think he was using the same team name that we were, but we won't go with that.
Definitely, certainly not.
It was, like I say, just getting stuck at the hairpin, and like I say, just causing a bit of a stack up. As we'll see if Soranko and Stozer, if there's going to be a switch here once again. Soranko's taking that very big defensive line.
Yeah, and possibly overly so. Clearly not interested in any of the positions ahead of him, knowing that 6th place is his maximum now. He's not going to overtake anyone, but he can hold on to the places that he already has. Heinrich Marchena probably in a similar situation as well, because he's got Heinrich right behind him.
Ooh, a bit of a look to the inside. Once again, it's super sketchy in this grouping, and it's, like I say, battling around Macau at the best of times is a little scary. When you're taking those kind of like those late looks as we'll check in with the subscription mobile, and it's still in 13th spot, working its way up the order as we now see Stozer once more swinging it through the S section. This battle's pretty close as Mish is trying to run away from his subscription duties.
Not sure how Sonchik has managed to get up into 13th. Actually, wasn't he the one who hit the wall first at the first corner? Was it?
Yeah, it was. I think he spun at turn 1, which actually got him out of sort of like some of the bigger accidents.
Maybe it helped him. Yeah, in some way. I just thought he had a lot more damage as a result of spinning, to be honest. But clearly he's got away with it, and he's still doing all right. He's outside chance of a top 10 as well, with 10 minutes remaining. We'll see if he gets there or not. As the 4th place battle makes its way towards the hairpin, they all get through nicely, the 4 of them, or 2 pairs of battles really, rather than 1 4-car train. Yeah,
well, like I say, we've got 10 minutes left to go, and whilst things are settled, we've always spoken about this before, that the things are settled at the front. Certainly not so behind. Like you say, lap traffic, getting itself involved, closing things up in this grouping, and maybe opening the door for opportunities. 3 seconds separates Marchena to Gontier, so that gap is fairly large. Lap traffic can still close it down. We've already seen it try. But the battle inside the top 5, like I say, Heinrich's been putting in some incredible performance and incredible pace. Has Raphael Heinrich almost up there with our race leaders, and is now going to look for a move. Surely this will happen down to Lisboa as Rokas to be next disqualifier for the list.
It's an ever-growing list now as well. It's almost half the field at this stage with DNFs and DQs added together.
Whoa.
That's very late on the brakes from Heinrich. That's not going to happen, surely. Even if he, yeah, that's just way too far back to attempt that kind of move. At least he didn't put himself in the wall attempting it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, gave it a good go there. That was, like I say, insanely close. There, as we ride on board with Raphael Heinrich, you can see how close you get to the cars going into the maternity bend section and how tight it can become. Again, brilliant displays from those. But wow, yeah, that was very. I get what Heinrich was trying to do. Was trying to get to the outside, but it was sort of like a half commitment from Marchena, and it was sort of there. It sort of wasn't. It could have ended in an enormous crash.
Yeah, it certainly could have. I think what it ended up being a problem for him is that, oh dear, Sunchik heads down the outside of Mish and just about hangs on to the place. I think what didn't help Heinrich there was the fact he was so close on the way in towards that right-hander hit when he got up to the top of the hill there. If he was a bit further behind, he could have got a run through there, and then by the left-hander at turn 8, just before maternity bend, then he could have gone for it, but he was just almost too close at that stage in the corner. Now he's looking to the outside of Donna Maria. This is never going to happen because it gets you to... I don't think it's impossible to go too wide at this point, is it? Probably not. And then there's the hairpin, of course, so he's still got to just find another way through, and it's proving very, very tricky.
Yeah, like I say, you don't really want to go side by side too many times in the middle section anyway. And like I say, Don Maria, we saw an issue there with Restance and the big send from Frank Van Roon. So you can sort of go side by side there, but it's never really going to happen. As we see Gautier getting his way past some of the lap traffic, that'll be Marshinsky working their way through. 7 minutes left to go. 30 seconds back on our leads, which means we do actually have 4 laps left to go in this race. There's a look at Sebastian Ray in that Falcon livery, but I've got to say, Zabdir well in control.
Yeah, and it all came down, as we suspected it would, to the earlier points of the race where he managed to get clear of the rest of the field first ahead of Sebastian Ray. It wasn't even the fact that he got there first, it was the fact that he had that, and he had a few cars between himself and Ray, and he managed to put quite a few seconds into him as well before the German even got his way through, because as we've seen in the gaps now, they're very well matched on pace.
Which was expected. Like, when we saw it get to 10 seconds, once we saw Sebastian Ray get into that second position, it was expected that the gap wasn't really going to change very much. It was going to come down or grow or whatever, but it was only going to be in like tenths of a second per lap, maybe the odd like half second change here and there, depending on how much risk was being taken. For the most part, we know those two are pretty much bang on the same pace. It's just about how Zabdir's carved his way through in the early stages. Saranko out a little bit wide going out of maternity, and there might be an attempt coming in from Stozer, but once again, Saranko is just able to put his car in the right place at the right time. Frank Van Roon rejoining this fight, but maybe feeling a little bit more sheepish after the contact between himself and Restance.
Yeah, probably. He'll be certainly more hesitant to attempt stuff here. I think he'll only be going for something if it's very obvious. And that's not quite the same strategy being employed by Heinrich, who's got Marchena to go very deep into that braking zone. He got away with it, did the Spaniard, and in the end, Heinrich is still held at bay, but that was very close. Still going to be maybe 3 laps to go, because Zabdir's just come over the line now. 3 laps to go for these drivers when they get to the line.
And they'll all be well aware of that. They'll all be waiting for their correct opportunity, but it is the 5 of them fighting over 4th position. Like we said, Marchena, who's at the moment the driver hanging on to it, Heinrich, Saranko, Stozer, and Frank Van Roon, all separated by only a few seconds in this tight fight for 4th. Should be a fairly exciting and thrilling climax to this one. Not for the podium though, because I do believe that Zabdir, Ray, and Gontier have all comfortably cleared their way from this grouping.
Yeah, they haven't. Not too much of a surprise in the end. All sort of closed back up after that incident at the hairpin, but he's picked it back up again now as Stozer gets very close. Is he going to go for it in Mandarin? Is Heinrich going to go for it in Mandarin? No is the answer to the first question. The second one is a yes. Oh, and Marchena has to go around the outside. Heinrich didn't fully commit to that in the end, and it may have been a good idea. He looks to the inside now the outside into Lisboa, and he's going to be very late on the brakes again. Can he do it round here? He might well do, and then side by side further back as well with Stranko. Round the outside again for Heinrich. Oh, they make contact. They both slide, and Marchena's still alongside him.
Yeah, superb stuff from Heinrich, who now worked his way through on Marchena. And like you say, Saranko's worked his way past. It is Marchena who's dropped back now to 6th position. Doors potentially open for the other Callaway as it's getting a little bit dicey here going into maternity. The up and under potentially working in the hands of Stowe, but it is not on this occasion. Van Roon's just sort of sat there waiting for the pieces to be picked up. But superb performance there from Heinrich to have picked his way through. Just did it beautifully. Lovely move around the outside. Got to say, respect to Marchena for the space given. It was just about right, at least in the first.
Oh, goodness, I thought, thinking of space being given, I thought he would have to give some to Stozer, but he didn't in the end, and Marchena's been disqualified. Well, that's got to be for incidents or something, hasn't it? I suppose he's not reversed or anything, so unfortunately, disqualification has ruined our battle there.
Yeah, but it's another one to chuck onto the big old death pile at the bottom of the timesheets. Of the 30 or 28 drivers that have taken to it, we have just 16 going, and of the 12 that have been knocked out, only 3 of them are courtesy of retirements, hilariously enough, meaning there are 9 DQs at the bottom of the page, all courtesy of varying incidents. Although, to be fair, we were told Bernie Eccleston, the legend himself, did blast his way into pit lane at rapid speed, which was caused his disqualification. So again, trying to run away from the tax bill, but they'll always catch up with you eventually, as we've got ourselves the penultimate lap of proceedings. And look at this, it's very calm and serene for the Frenchman.
Yeah, it's rather unlike most of the racing he's had to do so far today.
Look
The
at his car.
FR3 race was well, it's true. Most of the first race of the day in the open wheelers, he was in amongst the battles. Second race, he had a crash. That wasn't very serene. And then the third race, he's been finally driving around on his own to a good position. So he's probably quite pleased, really, to be 10 seconds in front of the drivers behind, and 25 seconds behind Sebastian Rea, who's here in second place.
Yeah, I mean, no, I will say with Gautier, I mean, looking at his car, he's clearly not had the easiest run through this race, and probably isn't a million miles away from getting disqualified himself and joining that list, as you would expect from being in the mid pack. Like you will always be bouncing off the odd car here and there. You'll always be picking up the odd instant points and such, and breaching those, you get a disqualification, and looking to make it 10. Disqualified, but at the moment I get the feeling everything's kind of settled out and calmed itself down. Although I will say Heinrich Saranko then are separated by a second and a bit. Stowe is about a second and a bit back, but Stowe is still having to deal with the pressure from Frank Van Roon in the battle back there, as Marius Abde is heading into the final sector for the penultimate time to start the final lap of the race.
Yeah, it will be last lap now for everybody, but that means there's still nearly a lap and a half to go for these two, because they're so far behind at the moment. Stowe is going to have a very intense end to this race as well. Although I do wonder how eager Frank Van Roon is going to be to go through, or well, not eager, but how aggressive he's going to be after that incident with Ross Stunts earlier on. I have a feeling he'll just tone things back slightly.
Well, we'll see. We will see. I think that probably is lingering a little bit on his mind of like the maybe don't push things too far once more. You've already kind of been on the receiving end of certain things, so best to avoid it. But once again, remaining very close. Time is ticking down to 0, and they will head their way to start the final lap. So if there is going to be a move, it's going to be on the run down towards Lisboa for that final time.
One more run down into that big braking zone, the best overtaking opportunity on this circuit, and if he doesn't manage it there, then it's going to have to be an inventive one somewhere else around the circuit. So this run out the final turn going to be very important. Frank Van Roon gets pretty close to the wall on the exit there. He will have a problem though with a bit of lap traffic in front. One of the Porsches in front is Stranko. One of them is not, as Sonchik's in the wall.
Just kind of blocking it down the Melka hairpin, now costing himself position inside the top 10. And so we'll return to the races. Here we go. Here's the run. Frank Van Roon has got it through Mandarin. Another race down towards Lisboa. There was nothing really that Stozer could do there.
No, and I'm not really sure why. Why was his run so poor onto the, or out of turn 2, I should say. Not really sure, I've got to say, but Van Roon is through, and he's just got this bit of traffic to negotiate now. That's not Soranko in front. It's one of the other Porsches running a lot further back, although I couldn't tell you which one, in all honesty. Another one of the Porsches running up in front of him, those Marius Abdir, who has held this position for a good 35 minutes now.
Yeah, like I say, he's worked his way through the order. Had to start from 10th place in the reverse grid, courtesy of a fantastic first race performance as Marius Abdir. And as he pieces his way down into the final complex, it's going to be the perfect Macau Grand Prix, the GT side of things. Unbelievable performance from Marius Abdir, 10th to 1st, and makes it back-to-back wins. A superb performance from the feisty pole. And it's going to be Sebastian Rey joining him once again on the podium to take that 2nd place. Gontier will also join them, but it will be a very, very long wait before we see the Frenchman cross the line, courtesy of the dominance of the top 2 have been class of the field today.
They have in the GT3s, no doubt about that. And by the way, we've had some more disqualifications to add to the list as well. Now up to 11 this race. 11 out of 28 have retired as a result of being disqualified, and half the field out now as well. What a remarkable last race of the evening we've had.
Remarkable is certainly a word, and it could be used in regards to this. Questionable as well. Exciting, I will say, whether you, however you feel about it. It's certainly been some edge of your seat action as Frank Van Roon close the line. Stozer as well will wait for the last few. A man will cross, and Gaspar Mich not missing out on the top 10 this time. Inside the top 10 is the last one of the night, so we've got to chuck one in at least. But still, yeah, like I said, has worked his way from the back of the field. I think most positions gained in this race for Gaspar Mich.
I would imagine so. Yeah, 18. Ross Dutch was pushing him quite close for that earlier on, but he's out the race for a long time now. Aman has done a good job as well in 8th place to gain 14 on the race. But yeah, from the very back row of the grid, Gaspar Mich inside the top 10. So you've got to applaud that, and he will come across the line in 9th and spin across the line, in fact, in 9th position. So there you go. But good drive from him. Flug will round out the top 10.
So Marius Abdir then on top after working his way up the order in superb style. Sebastian Rey, Gontier involved in there, Heinrich, Soranko, Van Roon, Stozer. Then we get Aman, Mich and Flug, our top 10 from the 2nd race of the evening. But you know how exciting it was. Great to see the Macau Grand Prix, to see the GT3s race around, to see those FR3s as well take to the circuit. It's been a fun evening of festivities, but there's just 4 more finishers: Sonchik, Henkel, Tevenen and Best. And he was best of the rest because the rest have retired or disqualified, and there is a big list of them. Do you reckon you would have retired or disqualified from this one, Ewan?
Oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, who hasn't, to be fair? I think being disqualified has actually been the more pressing thing, because, you know, you can recover from, you can just go down pit lane and get damage repaired for a DNF, but the incidents clearly were a lot harder to avoid in terms of the points.
And you know, before we wrap things up in a few moments' time, let's have a little bit of a chat about Marius Abdir. We've seen flashes of great performances from Abdir over in the RaceRoom Ranked Championship. We'll talk about that in a moment, and such. You know, we know he's a quality driver, but seeing him on this, that was a world-class drive.
Yeah, it certainly was. I would argue we've seen more than flashes of that from him. We've seen a lot of great periods of great driving from Marius Abdir over the course of, just being on RaceRoom generally. He's put on some really great performances down the years, and so, you know, this kind of drive is not surprising at all. His battle with Sebastian Rey in the 2nd race of the evening was absolutely fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and the 2 were pretty evenly matched in race 3 as well. So it was, yeah, very entertaining to watch, and a great drive for Abdir. Great results. To gain 9 places at Macau in what ended up being about 3 laps was really great driving.
Well, that indeed does wrap us up for the evening. We hope you've enjoyed joining us here for the Macau Grand Prix. And hey, do you know what? If you've enjoyed it so much so that you want to take part, obviously you know where to go. Go over to Steam, download RaceRoom Racing Experience. It's a free download, and you can get yourself started on this. You know, there's plenty of opening packs, starter packs for you to get yourself back involved in the racing. Whilst we're talking about that, we will also note that on Wednesday next week, it is the RaceRoom Ranked Championships, a halfway point of the season. The Praguers will be racing around Interlagos for their second round of the season. It'll be Zach and Dara joining you for that one, because me and Cam are a bit busy, and also it's Ewan O'Leary's birthday. Yay! We're going to bring that up on stream. That's fine. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been myself this week. It has been Ewan O'Leary, and of course, Chris, Captain Coffee, Chris Doe has been bringing you the broadcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, a very warm goodbye.
Do you also feel the same as this car enthusiast? He's reached his vehicle dream, but suddenly the original black wheels seem a bit boring. A colourful detail would add a lot more pep. And a little eye-catcher to match the paint would make the car perfect. Customization options don't only transform the wheel to visually match the vehicle, but also provides one-of-a-kind look on the road. The wheel colour, rim protectors, centre caps, valve caps, and even the wheel bolts can be configured and designed individually using style components of the new BBS Unlimited wheel system. And here's how it works. The BBS Unlimited base wheels are available in a total of 8 different colours, whether it be a glossy, satin or polished finish, or from a deep indigo blue to racing gold to a rich bronze. Rim protectors are a colourful detail to visually enhance the wheel, while preventing damage from curb contact. In addition, the rim protectors can easily and quickly be replaced and renewed at any time. In total, 6 different designs are available. The center cap completes the wheel. So how cool would it be if it could also be customized? BBS Unlimited Style makes this possible. It's available in 56mm and 70.6mm diameters and can be applied in a variety of ways with the BBS logo. The center cap is available in 2D or 3D embossing, as well as in several color variations. And with the 3D rotation cover, the BBS logo remains visible to everyone, even when the car is in high gear. The valve caps complement the wheel in 6 different colors. This gives the individual wheel an even more coherent look. You can even choose the wheel bolt in the last step to match the wheel. Available in black, silver, and even titanium. With the help of the BBS Unlimited style components, you're able to create a work of art out of a conventional wheel, according to your own wishes and ideas. Just take a look at our configurator, and after a few clicks you can already start designing the perfect wheel for your vehicle. Do you have any questions about customization? Then contact the Wheel Expert now.